What is going on, everybody? Obviously, a really down day currently right now. Obviously, the Warriors going down to the Gold Coast Titans. I knew this one was going to be a real tough carry, guys, after this game. It was a really disappointing loss here. Felt like a lot of it did come also down to just our defense, man. Our defense in this game was definitely not up to scratch. I'll probably go through a lot of it today, but yeah, really make sure you continue to comment down below your thoughts overall, guys, because this is a place where you can get your frustration out. I know when we've come off back-to-back losses, especially, to me, the Dragons, for me, I feel like they're a lot better of a team than what people give credit for and all that, but still a bottom-tier side. And also now looking at the Gold Coast Titans, that are the worst team in the competition. They've got it done over us now. I know that overall Gold Coast were really desperate to get a win here, and yeah, that was a really disappointing one. But shout out to all the fans that are all in the chat currently right now. Cole, good to see you here, my bro. Boosh, Jazzy, good to see you all come in. Just filter in. Tahi, good to see you, my bro. Really disappointing one. Typical Warriors game versus Titans, and the rare forward pass gave one try, should have been 13. Yeah, listen, like, I don't want to be the guy with the referee call out or anything like that, guys, because I would sway away with you guys, obviously, but being Warriors fans and that, we're obviously going to look like we're the biased ones of that. But yeah, that first half, we lost the momentum. We lost defensively. We lost our cohesion defensively, especially on that right side. I feel like, teams have now really starting to lock into our right side defensive shapes. There's something we need to look at there. There's something really wrong there. Shawnee missed 7 tackles in this game. Just definitely wasn't up to it. Obviously, Shawnee carrying these injuries, maybe it does have something to do with that there. But still, if the boys are out in the park, they just got to do whatever they can to stop leaking points the way they are. But yeah, I would agree. Coming into this game, early on, it's the same story as every week. That first 20-minute block, or at least, that first 15-minute block were unbelievable. We hit out with 2 massive tries to start this game, which Chance, Nickel Clockstag, especially off that right side shape, looked beautiful. And then Adam Finor-Blake crashes over within 10 minutes, 3rd minute and 6th minute, we go up by 2 tries here. And it was absolutely unbelievable. Everything was on top of the world. And then we just fall. We fall into something the AJ Brimson try with the AKP. I put that down, honestly, I have a mate of mine that I message, back and forth during the game. I had a lot of them, actually, that I was messaging currently during this game and stuff. But he was saying that maybe Barry should have, shifted out a lot earlier and that. For me, I was like, Dal should have been as much wary of AKP as possible. But even then, the Titans can do that to teams. They can do that to some of the best of teams in the competition. That first try wasn't where I was at. But the second try started to be all right, now we need to turn the game. Something's not happening here. Tanner Boyd throws that dummy and go, and Laban definitely missed that defensive assignment there. But I won't hold it on Laban too much, because I felt like the rest of the game wasn't too bad from Laban in general. I thought he was really solid in moments and stuff. He did some really good moments in attack as well. But also now, then they started to find our right side defense, and especially off of penalties, which you guys obviously are touching on in the chat currently. And shout out to everyone in the chat. I will get to you guys very shortly and bring up your chats and your thoughts overall and your questions and stuff before we get Levon. I think Levon will be coming on a little bit later. But yeah, this is going to be a very tough one for us, guys. Obviously, it's a real sad day to lose to, the worst team in theory, obviously, in the competition right now. And definitely our season, after these 2 big losses, definitely is shifted all the way and everything could look the worst way possible, but hopefully we can find some positives in it and come into next week. I don't think there's a lot of positives really. Like the positive is, late in the game we came home strong in that, but honestly, the negatives outweigh that overall. We should not have put ourselves in that position overall. And I hope there's not too much slander on especially some of our boys in the chat as well. Like, the whole Monty chat to start this thing before this game, he had one error in that half, but that was a heavily contested catch to kick. And obviously the challenge did not help that there. But honestly, I called out the challenge as well because I didn't think Monty touched it as bad. Like, I didn't think he touched it overall, but seeing it just nicked him and he did drop his lollies there was not good to see. And I had a mate of mine message me and get Monty out. I'm like, brother, listen, just wait. Dallin has done that before. And like a lot of boys have done that before. Like, just stick with him. And then later on having Dall with that offload as well. And I was like, boys, just like, oh man. But where we lost this game, guys, was honestly defense. Defense was the biggest thing. Defense is what lost us this game. I thought attacking-wise, we looked incredible. We scored four tries in this game, got 24 points on. And as Levon says, usually when we score 24, that's when we should be winning games. Any team that scores 24 on the score sheet should be getting over top of most competition, especially if their defense is at least at a good level. In this game, our defense was at a very, very poor level. Shout out to, shout out to the Titans though. Like, I want to give a little bit of credit to the Titans as well. They were very desperate. They had a good block of momentum from probably about the 15 to 20 mark all the way up till probably 10 to 20 after halftime. Even little blocks in between there, I felt like we had some really nice moments. But when the boys started getting their defensive shapes and they were trying to regain the ruck, penalties started to come, and it was so frustrating to watch this game. I think we went into halftime with a 4-1 penalty count. I'm not bashing the refs, guys. I'm not going to be, I don't want to incentivize that at all. Shout out to the Gold Coast Titans. They completed at halftime 95%. They only had one drop ball, and that was, the Akan Pereira off of, our pressure that we built on the back end. That's where everything was looking great. It looked like we're going to actually just continue to roll through. But the Gold Coast Titans held in strong, and to complete at such a high percentage, and even the game currently, I'm looking at the stats at 92%. The Gold Coast Titans, man, that's a really good positive stat for any Gold Coast fans out there. But over to our boys, because this is a Warriors channel and we want to focus on everything we're doing wrong at the moment. I do trust in the boys that we will fix this up mid to late season and that. But this is a very, very worrying part of the season because honestly, this is a game that we should have got over the top of, especially like last week with the Dragons. I could afford to drop one game against a not so great team in the competition if it is for the boys to fix up their errors and come back again. But this time, this is back-to-back games now where our defense hasn't been up to it. I've been always the question about our attack for me, I always say our attack's great. Our attack, when it gets into the point, positions of the field, the boys roll through the field so easily. They get into great positions. Sometimes if they don't hit, it really comes down to defense on the back of that. And that's the reason why the Panthers are so different to the Warriors currently right now. And that's the reason why we want to be like them more so, is just defensively, we need to defend our errors or our penalties or our sets as best as we can, because our game revolves around that now. That's the biggest thing. But the boys, were out on their feet. Well, you can't even fully say that too, because we finished out the game really, really strong. But they're going to be really, really tired after this one. I felt like that took a lot of effort to even get it back to consider a score here, to nearly even pip it off the Titans late. But we can't just keep doing this, and this is why the boys are starting to drop like flies. I think, maybe Webby needs to really take a big look at our defensive shape, especially on our right side considerably at the moment. I'm not too sure whether it just does come down to Shawnee and not being up to fit defensively, with the Achilles injury. I'm not too sure if they're just not seeing the same things if him and Rocco are, because Rocco is usually one of our strongest, but this week obviously had not the best game defensively. Brian Kelly definitely had a really, really nice game with him on this one, but just we need to stick solid with the boys, get behind the boys. Hopefully they'll turn it around in that, but definitely, we got to understand also there is negatives to it, and I will give it to you guys. There was negatives, a lot of negatives to that performance, and we do need to build off the back of that. So, overall, again, guys, I'll touch on a couple of positives. We ended the game with a 53% possession rate. We flipped that all the way on its head, where going into halftime, the Titans actually had a 53% possession rate comparatively to us. We had a big chunk of momentum go against us with the Titans, and their attack was on point for making us hurt. But even then too, like, bro, I feel like I'm flipping back and forth right now because it's so fresh off the game. Some of the attack, I'm just like, where we should have just made our one-on-one tackles. Like, Brian Kelly shouldn't have had that moment to set up AJ Brimson on the outside. I think they did that exactly twice. Dave Fafita getting over the top of, he does that at times. Like, that happens, but we need to stop those sort of things from happening, because it ended up being like we started off, 12-0. We kept in the game. It felt like everything was going our way. Then, like, we just couldn't defend our penalties and our errors. Like, our penalties were the big thing there. We went 4-1 on the penalty count behinds. I did feel like we couldn't get a bait from the referee at the moment there, if you being completely honest. But, yeah, to get back into it, we end up getting some calls later on in the game that made it not look as bad. But in the key moments of that one, I felt like, we couldn't really hold up with them. And shout out to the Titans again. One more thing I want to touch on is their wrestle in the ruck. To hold the ball up. I felt like they slowed our platables as much as they could, especially when they had a lot of momentum. They really found the position of where the referee would call something or not, because not one 6-again call and not one penalty really got thrown our way due to like ruck or anything like that come until later on in this game. I think it was about 15 to 20 left in this game before you got our first ruck infringement or 6-again and stuff. So was just, it was all over the place. But Jazzy, great little thought here, my man. I thought Zion was incredible off the bench for that little period that he come on. I thought he ran with a whole lot of intentions, aggression, exactly what we see from Zion. He only had a 20 minute stint on in this game, but those looked very, very solid. So very good signs there from Zion, especially for the future ahead. And it was definitely, good to see Walker back on there. You could see how maybe unpredictable our attack kind of got a little bit better with Dylan Walker coming on the field, and it really gave us another added dimension into our attack. So maybe that's a lot more what people were looking for. We definitely attacked a lot better in moments down our left side. Roger had a really, really solid game other than the error later on in the game, but I can concede that if we're trying to chase points, it just wasn't able to be. I honestly thought Monty had a solid game other than that drop ball under the high ball. He still ran for about 140, 150 meters and just was really trying to get the lift out of the back end. Shout out to Dal as well. I thought in attack he did as best as he could. That error that he had definitely killed us, and he definitely needs to get out of his game. And what people don't understand is both our wingers do concede a lot of errors, and especially last year when I look through all the stats of Monty, everyone was calling for Monty to move out of the team. Dallin actually conceded more errors on average than Montoya last year. So that was a big one, especially with Dal only playing 20 games, and Montoya, I'm pretty sure off the top, he played a full season. So, but even then, I thought attacking wise out of our back end, I thought the boys worked really, really hard, just defending these big moments. And if we want to be, as I touched on before, if we want to be a great team, if we want to be a top 4 team, because I still believe there's a top 4 team in there, and I know you guys might think I'm crazy, but there is blocks of just really good positive movements here where we can teams don't look like they can handle us when we really get a roll on, everything goes well. But when we let our heads down is when maybe something doesn't go our way and a couple of penalties come into the contest, and the boys just let their heads down, and then for some reason we just go into a lull in the middle of the contest. And I think this is something that Webby really needs to take a look at, because now it's been at least 3-game average of that we've had. The Manly Seagulls blew us off pretty early on. We regained the game a little bit later on in that, but the Dragons game, we definitely got blown off the park in the middle period as well. And, with the Titans game as well, is that middle period before halftime. And there was a very special, I think it was Wayne Bennett or someone, it was a really special coach that said that some of the most important moments in football is actually 5 minutes before halftime and 5 minutes after halftime. That's where you usually win a game. So I think the boys really need to nail down on those areas, especially again. I just really need to really nail down to, we need to defend our errors. We need to defend our penalties. We completed at a decent rate in this game, in my opinion, too. 84%. We only had, where's our error rate here? Had 8 errors, which is actually not too bad. That's a really good error rate in this game, and a lot of it did come from us chasing our tails later on in the game. But defending when things don't go our way, especially with referee moments and stuff like that, that's going to happen. That just is what it is. Referees, we have different referees every single game. Consistency of the referees is not up there at the moment. That just is what it is. And I'm not going to complain about the referees, because the boys can control what they can control. If they made a couple of big tackles in this game and they defended their line better, we wouldn't have lost this game. I really do believe that. Even though, full credit to the Titans, completed a high rate, their attack looked incredible, but there was a lot of moments in this game where the boys could have really defended a little bit better. The Laban misread, he's still young, he will learn that, but definitely on our right edge. Barry definitely didn't have his best game defensively in this one. Shawnee didn't have his best game defensively in this one. And it was kind of yeah, I don't know whether it came down to also having a switching of forward going to that right side, but I won't put it down to that because last week we've had very similar things. The Dragons ran havoc on that right side defensively with Capewell there. So maybe it's just more of a talk from the outside man of Shawnee. Maybe the inside man needed to push those boys out a lot earlier. We just don't get numbers up at a lot of time. And I feel like a lot of Barry's missed tackles do come from his outside shoulder. I feel like he really trusts his outside shoulder maybe a little bit too much. So I'm definitely not blaming SJ, T. Miller. I'm definitely not blaming SJ at all. DWZ defensive reads kill us. Yeah, in moments they do too. It's actually been something that has been brought to my attention very early on in the season from a really good mate of mine. He actually messaged me personally on Instagram where he was saying that maybe Dallin, when he bites in on the intercept look, that won't happen every time. And in moments he really gets himself in no man's land. But both our wingers have moments to do that, so I don't know if that's a system thing where Webby does want our wingers to really cut off space and time. But if they're going to do that, they're going to have to make the right read. And I feel like a lot of times that just doesn't really happen. But T. Miller, great point there as well, obviously. Jazz, what was it? 4 sets on their try line. I was screaming for a grubber kick as it was obvious that we catch them out. Best defense from the Titans in ages. Yeah, I thought best defense from the Titans in ages, but we definitely had a variable kicking game in this game as well. You did notice that we actually started kicking on our left side and we found success. Obviously, really unfortunate to get that try taken off us with RTS getting up in the air for bro. I don't want to make this is not an excuse for the Warriors and that, but I feel like at moments when you're watching as a fan, the boys need to defend better 100%, but we are the most unluckiest team in the competition. We need to clean up on those little things, but fuck, man, the amount of things that, in a game that just don't go our way and we put ourselves in that moment is the most frustrating thing. But yeah, the kick down the other end of the field, Roger on the left side of the field, Roger getting up there showed his athleticism. Maybe we need to look into that a little bit more. Semi actually touched on with the live stream last time, and it was probably a really good point to touch on, is maybe contesting on those kicks a little bit more instead of falling into our defensive shape. Maybe there is something we really need to look into that with. I would say, more times out not, if we're going to try and drown a team out. I like, getting our defensive shape set and just getting down there and shutting down that winger, especially with the new rule of the distraction rule, whatever it's called, which is a disgusting rule. They need to get that out of the game. It didn't get called in this one, but I feel like maybe that's the reason why we don't contest as much. But we saw later on in this game, we actually benefited so much from Rocco's contest game and Roger's contest game, and he nearly won this game at the end. But yeah, just was not a great performance defensively. And as I say here, defense wins premierships, and we got to learn this, especially with the system that we're trying to run. It's actually the most key part to our game plan at the moment. If we're going to hold a team down their other end, and if for other little moments they're going to come down our end, we're just going to have to defend those. That just really comes down to that. If we're going to play the way of footy, the way we're going to play, we're going to have to defend on both sides of the field, not just really get up in their faces and try to turn momentum down the other end. If we're going to do that down that end, we also got to really chase and cover tackle on the other end as much as we can. And I felt like we lacked that incredibly tonight. Tony T, I think perhaps our wingers need to trust their insides and not double up like tonight, left their man unmarked. I felt like that was definitely the case for our first try with AKP down the sideline. AKP can find moments like that, and AJ Brimson obviously back in the inside scoring that try, right? But again, I felt like Dal could have just let Rocco make that tackle, because Rocco was gonna make that tackle. But what hurts a winger with that too is Rocco's making these tackles on his outside shoulder, and it's very late. He's making these grass cutting tackles. A lot of times, Dal wants them to be beaten on the outside. I know it sounds weird, but he wants them to push that pass and create an error like that. But teams are going to probably find that a lot more times than not, you know what I mean? So he's probably trusting Rocco there, and then probably saw it late that Rocco got to his legs, but was thinking maybe he wasn't able to finish that tackle, so he had to dud in on him late. I feel like, that's what I'm trying to portray here. Like that's what's got to go through, probably going through his head, bro. But also, yeah, I do agree. Like maybe, he needs to trust them a little bit more and shift early onto AKP. And those are the moments where you kind of like defend our errors better. But again, maybe this is a system thing, and maybe Webby needs to change that as well. Maybe Webby has really pushed these boys for our wingers to really try to cut off time and space to centers and playmakers on the inside. We've seen a lot of that in the competition in the past. Maybe he needs to be like, boys, like don't do it all the time. Like let's just sit and cover and slide a little bit more. At times we just need the slide because our edge defense does seem very, very leaky currently right now. So I'm sure Webby will touch on it. I still believe Webby's a great coach. Don't take these 2-game blocks as a reason of Webby's falling apart and everything's falling apart. I don't think anyone's got that view at the moment, and that's a really good thing. I think every Warriors fan understands that. But yeah, I think that there definitely needs to be something looked at, especially on that right side defense. Just was not on tonight. It was not on. And I feel like I'm saying something that's so plain to see. Everyone sees it. But yeah, that's definitely what we need to fix up, especially this year. Daniel Wilson, great little chat here. Obviously, overall, our wrestling in the ruck has declined this year. Yeah, I felt like, there's blocks where we really go well and we get a very powerful tackle through the middle and stuff, especially down the opposite end of the field. But I'm feeling that mid period of the game, the boys start falling off tackles a little bit more. And maybe it's just the effort that we put into trying to lock teams down the other end of the field. And I think that's the one thing we've got to marvel about teams like the Panthers and stuff is their fitness must be on a different level for them to continue this game plan all the way through. Because this is actually a very, last year we weren't defending exactly like this. Last year we weren't a team that, hold a team into a corner and just really, push them back. I feel like the boys have really made a thing of it this year to really chase teams with our defense and really put attacking pressure on our defense, especially down the other end of the field. That we maybe run ourselves ragged during those mid parts and waiting for half time to really rejuvenate the boys and come back out and do something. And we start to lose the ruck. And, the Titans definitely won the ruck in this game. And it happened last week really, really badly as well with the Dragons. And definitely happened in moments, especially in the Manly game where we did find ourselves behind and we were chasing our tails again. But the Manly one, I'll give you a big forward pack. The Dragons one, they ran really hard. It was really good change from Flanagan, but definitely showed a lot of our errors, especially from the middle of the field and trying to hold down the ruck and the wrestle. And this game was more of Jamin Jolliffe had an incredible game here, and I think Jamin Jolliffe's a great player. I just never have seen Jamin Jolliffe be a big post-contact meter fiend, run meter fiend. The Titans were averaging the worst run meters in the competition right now. And in this game, they had a massive uptick of that with 15,000. Even though the boys had an incredible game with run meters with 18. And we'll probably touch on the stats a little bit, guys, and I'll run through my thoughts overall. Because, if you just look at the stats in this game and you didn't check the scoreboard, you would have thought the boys did really, really well, other than missed tackles. And that's really what killed us in this game. MP, big game coming up next week with the Knights. Yes, 100%. Again, we're going to need to lift for that game. It's good to see we're going to be a little bit of a longer turnaround for the Knights, even though we're going to be flying back over to Newcastle for that game. So that's definitely not going to be in our favor as well, but a longer turnaround will help us. Yeah, I felt like, overall, we just need to regroup, try and get the boys healthy again. And really trying to come at the Knights, who are struggling at the moment, but we can't just keep going teams are struggling. We've got to get on top of them. I think we need to find our own form as well. I don't think we're in form at the moment, and I think we all agree we're not in form at the moment. So, but I'm definitely not stressing, guys. I'm not out of this world stressing. I still believe we are one of the better teams in the competition. We just need time to really grow, get our boys back off injury, and just get towards the middle to the late part of the season and really put a nice run on. But I think, big games to circle. Obviously, there's the Roosters and the Panthers coming up. Those are the massive games that where we need to really nail down on, because those boys, especially the way we perform tonight, they will hurt us. They will definitely hurt us. Boys will live. They can't lose 3 in a row. I hope so. I really hope so. Unfortunately, we're in a little bit of a lull. I'm not trying to make excuses for the boys too, guys. It sucks that I feel like I want to say what I want to say, but I just don't want it to come across as excuses for the boys and all that. But like I would say, injury wise, we are struggling. But I thought Zion was incredible tonight. And obviously with the little performance that he gave, maybe Webby will give more trust into him and maybe put more minutes into him as well. But other than that, like, it'd be nice to get our first team back or as close to our first team and get a really good bench rotation. I thought Walks was incredible like today, especially defensively too. He got under the ball really, really well. Nearly forced a couple of errors that I thought didn't get called, like the Brian Kelly one later on in the game. I thought Brian Kelly would have dropped that, especially with Shawnee, Walker and all that combined for a tackle. The boys got up looking for it, but it just didn't go their way. So that just usually happens. Emantis, good to see you, my bro. Appreciate you coming through. We scored as soon as SJ changed up his fifth option, consistently bombing in one side, easily read one at the minute. Honestly, bro, I don't think our attack's a problem. I really don't. And I can understand why people are probably like swaying that way. To start the season, there was moments where teams maybe looked at a lot easier in that. But tonight was defensively, guys. And defense wins championships. I don't care. We have the attack. We have the players that are going to pull off points. Like, that's going to happen for me. It's just we need to get our defense in order. Like, our defense was definitely not up for it. And, Team Miller definitely agrees with me here. We can't defend our errors. Our attack's not the problem. 100%. Cloth stuff. We look like a team with no answers. Yeah, I would agree, bro. I would agree. I feel like there is positives in our performances, but it's so hard to say that, especially when we get 27 leaked on us from the bottom place team in the competition. Like, that doesn't help anything, and everything I'm going to say is going to sound like an excuse. But I think we all agree there is moments where this team looks unstoppable, but then there's moments where we go through a complete lull, where we drop off from being like up to like, top 4 standard of looking incredible all the way down to like we look like a bottom 4 side in moments there, especially defensively on that right edge. That needs to be fixed up on. Vodawaka was pretty on A. Yeah, Vodawaka did a really good job, but comparatively, I think Jamin Jollov, especially the stats show that as well. Jamin Jollov was incredible in this game, and I think he's very underrated. I think it comes down to maybe he doesn't look like the prop that looks outstanding and extravagant and a tackle break or anything like that. Even though I don't think he broke too many tackles, but I'm pretty sure he reached the 150 mark or something like that. And really ran ragged through our middle. Lockie, my resident Titans fan. Good to see you here, my bro. Up the Titans. Nothing but wins from here, boy. You're well too desperate for this one, bro. And well done. Like, your boys played absolutely incredible. But yeah, I also concede the boys, my boys lost that game. We lost that game. Our Melbourne game was no attack. It was errors in defense. Yep, that was agreed. Our Melbourne game, our attack did look really, really nice. It's just our defending our errors and that last little blocker period. We seem to just go through a little bit of defensive lulls, and hopefully Webby can really fix that up, because that is a big thing there. The NRL has figured out our defensive weaknesses and game plan accordingly. Indeed, the hunter is now the hunted. 100% need to adjust. You're right, bro. Our defense is so off. And, we're all calling for our attack seems predictable. We've seen all that chat around the social media, but I feel like a lot of people have maybe, misthought about our defense on our right edge and how that's fallen off lately. And even me, I didn't really touch on it too much. And honestly, like the Dragons game, they found a home for it. The Seagulls game, I was probably giving more so excuses for it, because Seagulls are a very high volume attacking team. They can do that to any team in a competition. We saw the Titans versus the Manly Seagulls last weekend. Both these guys can attack. But again, like the Titans can attack here too. But now this is a 3-week block of consistent defensive lapses on that side, and we need to fix it. Like I can take a couple of games where it's like, all right, so this is just moments, right? It's fine. But when this is becoming a consistent thing, I think this is where Webby needs to tap in and be like, hey, this is what's going on. And I'm sure Webby will, guys. Like, when we look at it, like we can call ourselves coach couches and all that, and we can see these things too. But if we're going to see these things, trust me and trust any coach in this competition. Some of them may not look like it, but Webby, out of all of them, we saw it last year. He fixes all our wrongs during the season. This is one that he hasn't fixed as early as possible, but I'm hoping, and we're all praying, but I know he will. Like, he will fix this up. He will fix this up. Jazzy, at least we have a long turnaround. I'm pretty confident that we can take the Knights without Ponga. There, we really have a good chance. I do believe that too, brother. I believe that the Knights' attack definitely lacks without Ponga. And at the moment, currently, we are leaking points. And Ponga would do some work with this side, especially down that right side defense. That's Ponga's preferred side to attack. I'm, pretty happy not to see Ponga there. And also, shout out to Ponga. I hope he's doing well. Injuries have always hurt him and all that. But, yeah, we need to fix this up, because if we're going to focus on ourselves, if we want to be premiership threats, we want to be top 4 threats, which I think we all agree, like the start of the season, we agree we are a top 4 threat and all that. I don't want to say these games are going to waver that, and they're not wavering to me yet until we get to probably round 10 or 12, and when we see this team and see where we're at in the ladder, that's when I'll probably be like, maybe we need to reevaluate where we sit. But yeah, we need to fix this up, because, even the Knights would be able to do something against us and get some points on the board if we're going to defend the way we defended tonight. Especially, Jacko, Hastings and all that would want to be working really hard for the Knights because of, the halves rotation there. We need to really fix this up. We definitely need to fix this up. The cloth stuff, really good comments here, my brother. We have an inability to stick to our tackles. We got more for the middle and looks strong when AFB came back on. Yeah, maybe it does come a lot to, AFB coming off the field. Maybe we go for a little bit of a lull there defensively in that, even though I thought Dylan Walker had some really solid moments in that. I think a lot of it, sorry guys, I don't want to keep saying, I don't want to make excuses and all that, but I just want to reiterate, I'm not trying to make excuses for the boys. I'm trying to find answers, and that's what I try to do. Maybe we are really hurting from our injuries, and our rotation pieces aren't as up to standard as what, I thought Zion was incredible, Dylan Walker was incredible and all that, but still, Jazzy fixes up a lot of our stuff through the middle of the ruck, even though the errors in his game and attack, he definitely defends a lot better than what people probably give him credit for. Murata is probably a big loss for us at the moment. I saw a comment on that a little bit later on. I'm so sorry I missed you guys, but yeah, that's probably someone we definitely miss. When we have all our boys on paper, we have a roster there, and we just need to keep those boys on paper for a long part of the season to get everyone cohesive. But the starting side of that, Shawnee, Rocco, and Dallin is our definite right side combination there. Defensively, I think those boys need to talk a little bit more. I know Jacko was on that side in this one. He switched to the opposite side, but I think those outside boys probably need to sum things up a little bit better, or maybe the system needs to change on that side. I don't want to say too many changes or anything like that, or maybe just I think that's definitely where we need to look at. Loho. I was high on TMM a couple of weeks back. I was wrong. Hard for SJ with him in the halves partner. Offers bugger all in attack. Honestly, bro, I don't want to keep bashing Tomato Martin. He's only had, he's had 3 to 4 games now in that role. Guys, he jumped in mid-season to try and figure out what to do with the side and, try to get into some sets. And our team is based around SJ, and that's really what it comes down to it. I think the biggest difference that we are trying to find now is obviously Metcalf's game maybe looks a lot better, especially being that second fiddle, where Tomato, if you actually watched Levon's little videos and breakdowns, bro, really, really good insight, is the way the Broncos kind of used him as more of a half look there. They gave him an edge back rower. They didn't play off the back of Shawnee in that as much as he could. So maybe it's just a system thing. Maybe it doesn't suit Tomato as much as possible, but we had moments with Tomato that looked really, really good too. So I think honestly, it's just cohesiveness, getting the combinations together. But again, bro, he probably needs to stand up a little bit. I didn't think it was too bad in this game, honestly. But yeah, maybe it's something to look into as well. Good to see you, Horsey. Warriors were robbed of tries and penalties. Yeah, I don't want to really run down that too much, guys. We can't make excuses like that. We definitely need to be better, especially defensively. And I don't think I can say that enough. Penalties and all that will always happen in a game. But yeah, we gotta defend those. And I'm pretty sure that, the Penrith Panthers and all that, the Melbourne Storm are 2 of the most penalised teams in the competition right now. But the biggest difference is they can actually defend on their line a lot better, especially the Penrith Panthers. And that's where we want to be. So no matter what happens in the game with penalties and all that, the boys have just got to learn how to defend those and really get into it. And I'm sure the boys will mid-season and that. Hopefully we take a big look into it and work twice as hard. But yeah, defense all comes down to combination, guys. Everyone comes together and trusting and that's a big thing. So we need to get that back into our system and really just work really hard. Like, you know, it's not even the first missed tackle numbers and all that. It's also, we just need to cover better. Like a lot of our cover tackles, we need to like really go on red alert a little bit more than, like, you know, sometimes I feel like we try to like take our time there, sliding to the edge and really trusting in Rocco's defensive ability to cover late or stuff like that. Maybe we're too reliant on those certain things. I wouldn't know 100% for sure, but I'll definitely look into it this week for you guys and really nail down on that. I'm pretty sure me and Levon will do some really good video work this week and see what's really going on with our side. Jazzy, don't worry, fam. We'll get the Titans at our other home ground in a couple of months. I should be flying out for the game. Jazzy, if you're coming to that game, bro, I am trying to get tickets for that game as well. So we'll meet up, bro. Like, if you ever want to meet up in that, it'll be awesome. Good to see you. But yeah, I'm really excited for that game in the future. And hopefully we fix up a lot of things and go into that game with a little bit more confidence and really try to turn a lot of what we're going through right now and put it on the Titans later on. Remember this performance, circle it, and be like, we're going to come back and we're going to dominate you guys and show what a top side we actually are. Because I still believe we're a top side. Good to see you, Nick. Really appreciate you coming back through, man. Montoya RTS combination doesn't click. I still sit on the fence of like, we need time. I think there was moments in this game where we see there's like, you know, really good moments of Roger at center. Especially, you know, he can get on the outside, man, quite easily in that. Other than that last moment with the error, I thought majority in this game, he was given Shop so many worries. Obviously, the biggest thing with Sheck is probably where he's got to learn with center as well, is probably to trust his outside run a lot more. And that's probably what will set up Monty in the corner a lot better. Because we saw last year, Monty had some moments where he can finish really, really nicely too. I think a lot of Monty's problems is maybe he tries to love the contact a little bit more. But with Rog, I'd say as an outside fan, this is probably what Webby probably will touch on him as well. He does amazing work of his left foot and coming back inside, but maybe just needs a little bit more like trust into getting on the outside of a player and setting up that 2-on-1 situation. But there's not a lot of really good centers in that in the competition. Like Brian Kelly is actually pretty decent at that. Just give him time, bro. Give him time. That will click. I still don't think Monty's the problem. I really don't. Defensively, that was the problem today. As soon as my bro gave me the message to be like, Monty needs to get out and all that after that drop ball, I was like, bro, like, you know, trust me, man. Like, it's not a Monty thing. That was a heavily contested kick, and that obviously we want him to catch that more times than not. But bro, like, one error like that, we need to defend these errors. That's the thing. You know, the Panthers, like Taruva has errors in him and they defend as much as they can off that. And Dylan Edwards even has errors for as safe as he sounds and moments too. He has errors too. But the best thing about them is they defend those errors. So we can't leave that to them. Like, you know, Monty does incredible work out of his back end, 150 meters a game, runs with intention all the time. His effort can never be questioned. But yeah, that right edge defense is the big one right now. I think that's where we need to really be focusing on. Kelly, good to see you. Thank you so much for coming through. Errors, missed tackles, bad marking, and predictable offense. Warriors are so bloody disappointing because we know and we've seen they're capable of so much more. I would agree with a couple of those points. I still don't agree we're a predictable attack. You know, obviously we do go right a lot. If you watch a lot of teams in the competition, this is my whole argument. There's a lot of teams in the competition that have a preferable side. That's the Sharkies used to have a preferable side of the right side. It's actually switched to the left side this year. The Panthers have one of the most preferable sides in the competition right now. If you actually look at the stats, they actually score 90% of their tries or something like that. 80% of their tries for their right edge with Sanu Taruva, if you actually check that out. So predictable as, like, we run so many different variations on that right side. You know, Shawnee was hitting, you know, Barry on flat balls and that. And we do forget, guys, we run amazing attack through the middle too. That's where a lot of our points came from tonight as well. Like, AFB is incredible through the middle and we use him to such good, like, moments in every game. Like, how is that predictable? If you're coming against a team that could go short to AFB, go short to Barnett, because Barnett had a moment in this game, we can go right and go through different looks on that right side where we can go Rocco, we can go out the back to Chauncey, we can go all the way up to go to Dallin, put a kick up to Dallin. You know, we're not predictable. I honestly think our biggest problem is defense at the moment. And that's the biggest thing. If we can't defend our errors, I don't care how predictable our attack can be, our systems could be and all that. Defense wins competitions. And that's the biggest thing in this competition right now, but guys, like, especially early on, we need to fix up on that. But again, I just want to see our boys get healthy and then really take it from there. And hopefully Webby is picking up all these little notes and saying this is where we need to fix up on when the boys come back and say this is what we need to do and really focus on that, because our right edge defense was not up to tonight. I don't think I could say that enough. Like, it wasn't up to scratch tonight. But we have the man, the myth, the legend on. I can't wait, bro. Like, I messaged you before this. I was like, I knew this is going to be a tough carry, but I appreciate you so much for coming through, my man. Levon is here, guys. Shout out to Levon. Let's go. What do you reckon, Levon? Give us your thoughts overall in the game, because I know you would have been looking at this really, really hard. What do you reckon?
Yeah. Look, there's a lot to kind of take from this in terms of Can you hear me? All good? Everyone?
Sorry, bro. I'm having audio difficulties. There
Okay. Am I all right? You guys can hear me? Yep.
I can't hear you.
Okay.
Pretty sure everyone can hear you, but my
Okay.
headphones aren't working.
No problem. Yeah, I think I got a line coming through. Okay. Look, this. Yeah, we're definitely hit. It feels like that we've hit a wall. And shout out to Loho. No date tonight, bro. I saw it all, so you can't blame me on this one, brother. But what there's something happening that's just not clicking. And look, I think once there's tape out on what you do, teams do adapt. Let's get that first. Let's get that sorted. Once teams figure out how your patterns are, they can pretty much defend it. Now, a perfect example is like, the first 20, we get up 12-0, everything's looking good. But that doesn't deter teams, and they're more than happy to stay in the grind with us. Now, a team like the Titans, they're the bottom of the table, and how was it that they're able to pretty much mirror our game plan, well, stay in the grinded out system as well, and beat us at it? So it tells you a lot about, a bit of predictability for sure. Defensively targeting guys, and I'm feeling like if we're gonna have a few more of these performances, we're gonna have to talk about a drop off in performance by a few guys. The middles aren't holding up, and the edges are having some issues defensively. The Laban one was just pure inexperience, a young rookie. He overshot his line. Should have kept Brimson on his outside shoulder. Not Brimson, whoever the half is. He played an amazing game, kicking game. Destroyed us, bro. His kicking game destroyed us. And so I'm just saying, you got a rookie error there. The soft try to Fafita, he shouldn't be scoring those ones. That there's just no excuse for that. Whether it looks like energy, guys are just tired, and then they're doing their best. Thank you, Tayi Boyd. Yeah, Boyd, amazing kicking game. Dissected the whole field. Nearly got them in 5-40-20s. It was that good. But just sort of, there's something about us at the moment. Why are teams wanting to roll through the middle? They know there's something that's not quite right there. Is there a drop off in performance? The guys seem to be following the process, but they be able to do the process. Like I've said on my little reviews, like sometimes we want to play the ball in the game. We want ball and play, but it's almost as though we can't cope with that with that system of ball and play. Like we're struggling to keep up with our own system at times. And I think, I mean, towards the Tomato point, I think what ball they're giving him isn't the greatest, and I would actually push him inside one a little bit and have a like Ash was saying, have a back rower to work with as a lead line, and then he pushed the pass on to RTS and let him make the decision. I think RTS isn't getting any good ball. I think there's symptomatic of that. But ultimately, when the tape's out on you, and teams can figure you out, even to the Titans, and there's almost a mirror performance. They pretty much said, "Oh, yep, you score the first try, no problem. We'll battle it out. We'll bring on our guys, and we'll be able to grind it out." And they did, and everything. The goal line defense. That's a glaring stat. 8 weeks into the competition, that data's even worse now. That when teams are getting on our goal line, they're scoring within within a week, pretty much one set, 1 to 2 sets max. Whereas on the opposite end, teams are defending us so well, it's almost like 4 to 5 sets, as you saw in that last period. So I think there's some data in that says we've either been found out, or we're lacking to execute the game plan to effect. I think there's a bit of a thing with Egan playing 80 minutes. I mean, seeing him going down, I think there's something there we need to really look at how we're using him. It seems as though his performance does dip a little bit. And yeah, I don't think Ale is the guy, like a cleanup guy like a Jazz Tavanga, to control the ruck. I think he's more of an impact runner. So you're losing a bit of work rate around the middle. Zion's run was awesome. I thought he was absolutely great. He lifted. You could tell the sets started to lift again. The momentum on the sets, the runs, the lead lines, everything picked up once he got on the field. So there's something to tell you that we're not getting enough off the bench in terms of impacting to carrying the game, moving the momentum moving forward. If we want to play ball and play style, we need to have as much guys. We need to maintain that momentum so guys can play off the back of it. But yeah, you're back, my friend.
Finally, bro. Out of all that, man, like my headphones.
You got a whole new set of headphones.
I've got a whole I had to get Bluetooth headphones. I had to find my other headphones, but obviously, like the Warriors, bro. It just feels like nothing's going right for me right now.
Yeah, I can tell.
What were your thoughts overall, bro? I'm sorry to everyone if you're going to repeat what you're going to say.
Oh, no. I just said, like, once teams can figure you out, once there's tape out there that you're having some problems, teams can game plan to it. And we've seen it almost 3 weeks straight. I mean, we were lucky. I know it's upon reflection, but to get the draw against Manly was great. But there were signs in that game that we weren't, we were 16 down. Yeah. I mean, similar pattern here. On the back end of the first half, we leak 18, 19 points, and then they score straight away in the second half. So it's almost like we're just ill-disciplined. Our goal line defense, there's got to be something looked into. There's got
to be something, bro.
There has to be an investigation. In the words of Volta, there's got to be an investigation, and maybe we've got to do the video footage because we're leaking almost immediately.
That's what I was going to say, bro. I'm sure we're going to have a big week ahead of us trying to figure out, like, what's our defensive system? Where is it going wrong? Like, I've had a lot of questions for me, and it came from personal friends of mine and all that, more so my DMs and that. He really pointed out Dallin's intentions more so of, both our wingers do like to cut in and try to cut off space through, players. A lot of teams do that to try and force errors and to force teams to go on the outside, make the playmaking play. But do we do that to our deficit a lot of the time, and maybe the boys need to sit and trust a little bit more? Or do you see also moments that maybe we're trusting too much of, like, centers are getting on the outside of Rocco. Maybe Rocco's trusting his outside shoulder a lot more than usual, especially in defensive shapes on our line. Maybe it's something we need to really look into in the tapes and stuff. You know what I mean? So,
well, the first line break. Like, so teams always go 1-2 and then hit our left edge with a big sweeping play, and it seems to be that there must be some info that if you can get a good first 2 hit ups, that can suck that defensive line in, and then you can get on the outside of Sean. And it happened again. It's happened for the last 4 or 5 weeks. But Dallin needed to trust. He needed to trust Berry on that. He didn't have the bite in that. Berry had him. But for whatever, and Albert Kelly's just the master of the flick pass. He'll just wait till and he'll flick it out.
Like, first of all, I want to touch on too, like, a massive shout out. You'll probably see it on the tape too. Isaac Liu's role in that first play there. Yep. We still need to defend that a lot better, but the way he looked inside to, like, he was going to fake for the run, and then he played it back outside, and the boys just played hot footy from there. So you'll probably see that on the run sheet. Like, he looked really, really good in that point. But maybe does this, like, give us a little bit more of a look of, like, that hard defensive edge back roll, like that bigger body edge back roll, I probably trust to push out earlier, where we have hard working edge back rollers currently. Maybe they do too much work and they get themselves caught out in bad defensive moments of trying to cut back on their edge and get back to that read, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, you watch our game, Jacko likes to do his work defensively through the middle. Kate Wells caught himself out on other sides a lot of the time. and then they have to rush back on the edge, and teams maybe are catching that out a lot more. Maybe, you touched on that Wade Egan was getting filtered out to the edge for defensive reads and stuff like that in moments.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that a system thing?
I
Maybe
think they
there's something
found that
there.
out. I think teams. I haven't looked at it closely, but I was saying that Wade was getting protected sometimes in the early rounds, and he'd hang out on the edge to not
Mm,
have to do the amount of work that he's doing. But if you tell, you can see he's almost involved in nearly every tackle sometimes, and so I suppose teams
exactly.
are picking up on that. And like if you just see our tackle, we have no tackle control at the moment. We're getting guys down, but we're lying on the ground. The tackles, the first initial contact's falling off,
Yep.
and
It's
so we,
especially in
yeah,
that 40 to 40, bro. Like, I feel like we're trying to play, because it is a different defensive style from last year slightly. So we're trying to play more of a attacking defense, with especially in the 30 and the 20 down the other end. We're
yeah,
trying to pin teams and drag them back into their goal line and really make them play out of their back end hard. But we lose the ruck more so between that 30 to 40 in that midfield there. That's where
yeah.
teams get ascendancy on us. And maybe it's the boys working too hard to try and hold them down that end. Our fitness maybe there. I don't know. There's a lot of things that could come from that. And I'm sure Webby hopefully is picking up on that. Hopefully.
Oh, I hope so. But uh, yeah, I think it's interesting because we're just losing that battle right now.
Yeah.
And I think we've had three amazing kickers. I haven't really watched much Titans, and Boyd just
Brim,
he was
Boyd
good,
had a
man.
good, bro.
Just finding grass everywhere, like all over the. He could have had 40, like four or five 40-20s if he
Mm,
just had a bit of wind or something. Like it was nearly there each time.
yep.
But they're winning that battle, and then they're happy to play that grinding out style, and they have a good read on what we're trying to do out of out of our own end, and then even on attack, man. I mean, you look at it, 4 or 5 goal line attacks, and we didn't come away with anything. I mean, apart from those kicks, which were great, and I think people have been crying out for it.
Mm,
Um, yeah, it's just like I think sometimes we're trying to build the wrong type of
pressure.
pressure.
Mm,
We're trying to build pressure from going through our sets.
mm,
When I just saw a comment here, someone saying that 74th minutes first grubber kick, almost a try. It's like we need to build pressure different ways, and I think they
yeah.
started to get onto that when they got. You saw the contested bombs. Dallin got a repeat set off a knock on,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
grubber kick and goal. Like we need more of that too to keep teams
Yep.
honest.
Yep.
Like, and it's like we just almost like it's like sometimes with a team in football, they try to score a goal by tapping it in through
Yeah.
intricate passes. Sometimes just do a cross it in from halfway, cross it in from your own end and just get someone on, and it's just like that. It's sort of get a grubber in or get a crossfield bomb in and contest it. That's
Yeah.
sometimes all you need to do. And I think that's where we kind of we're trying to force sometimes our attacks so much
Mm.
that it's sometimes backfiring. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like, for me, like my own argument against that too is like, I know we had that lull against the Dragons and stuff, but usually we're hitting that 20-point mark, which is a really solid mark in attack. Obviously, a lot of
Yep.
teams that struggle with attack hit that 16 mark, and that's usually a meter of like, when a team's struggling with attack and all that. So our attack is there, everything's there. Like, I agree with you that we want to maybe try to build the pressure, and maybe that's why we lull out. And then when we get behind, that's when our attack really comes to life and everything comes to light. Like, but the biggest thing we do need to fix up on is the defense. Like, we can run with the same attack what we usually do and drown teams out
You could,
by
yeah.
late in the game and do exactly the same thing, right? Like, that works. That does work. We've seen that. But the boys just, I feel like we go through, either something doesn't go our way and it has a little block there where we just turn everything off for a little bit. And it's either we work so hard during those sets to hold pressure, and then something doesn't go our way and we put our heads down and the teams get it on us
Yeah.
straight in. And then we try to taste our tails later. But you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
we are still scoring points. That's the
No, we
biggest
are.
thing.
The biggest thing though is that we were scoring like their first 12 great stuff, great. In the first 20. But we
Exactly.
relieve the pressure by Dallin jamming in, and then they score off it. And it's
Yeah.
almost like you've just released everything that you've built towards.
Yep.
And that's what I'm talking where the goal line defense needs to sort itself out, because if you're conceding, you're doing all this great work from building these sets up,
Yep.
and then you have a knock on or a penalty, and they have a set on your line, and you concede straight away.
Yep.
It's like you're wasting your game plan. You're
Yeah.
wasting what your principles are by not defending your own line. And I
Yep.
think that's part of the issue too that I'm having watching it.
See because I'll play devil's advocate with you on this one too, because like playing center growing up, I never hit the top grade or anything playing center and stuff, but playing in the outside backs, I would say that not Tenor, I would say that Rocco trusts his outside shoulder more so than not in many different occasions. He likes to get a center on his outside and chop him low, and for Dallin as a winger, that he does need to trust him a lot more, 100%, because he does put that tackle on a lot of times, right? But that first try, the second try that happened, I think it was the second try that came off the scrum or the third try.
Yep.
That was a missed tackle by Rocco, and those are the moments where a winger trying to jam in and help out those moments to try and make sure they play on the outside and create an error that way, right?
Yeah.
Like Dallin's probably going like, oh, the center's on the outside. As soon as it's on the outside, because it's so structured, all right, winger, dart in, cut that off. Make sure they try to outplay us on the outside, and usually statistically, it's going to cause the errors more so than not. But there's a lot of really good centers in this competition that make the right plays more so. Like, we touched on Kelly to start with this. That Kelly has that in his repertoire. Like,
do you know what I had a problem with? He didn't jam. There was a pause. There there where Kelly he should have shot in right there.
Yep.
And he let him have that little bit more space. Then he made the decision late. I just thought, I mean, it's probably millisecond stuff, but I was thinking there was a little because Rocco got him a little bit, and I think Sean came across, but he needed to shoot in and stop him as he kind of stood still a little bit. Yeah, that's my only gripe with that. Yeah.
See, that's what I mean though. Is like, because Rocco trusts that outside shoulder and it does grass cut late. Like, what I'm trying to say is more so is like, we can't just continue, like as a winger, you can't just continue seeing your center getting beat on the outside and having that center believe that he's always going to make that tackle on the outside. He's got to try and cover earlier to really cut off that read of like, I need to dart in. And maybe that's the thing too. That's just playing devil's advocate, because I also do believe that Dal finds himself in no man's land a lot of the time, cutting back in as well. But I have a really good friend of mine he's a Doggies fan, but he's actually one of the better football players I've ever played with. And I honestly do believe if injuries didn't hold him back, he could have made something of himself in that. But when that play happened, he said it was Rocco's problem. And he's like, Rocco didn't cover early. And that's what forced Dal into that moment. And that's why I was like, me as a Warriors fan, I see what Rocco does. And defensively, he's amazing, right? This is not questioning saying Rocco's bad defensively, but maybe he trusts in that a little bit too much and is coming into a lull that Dal's trying to overread. Dal's not trusting him as much as usual, because last week he just sort of slowly run over the top of him on that outside look as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think the same thing happens with Monty at times too. He obviously sees Roger likes to do exactly the same thing. Likes to get centers on the outside and try and push him out. But Monty's looking at that look too and going, I need to shut this down as early as possible instead of just sitting on their man. So it's devil's advocate, because like Rocco's doing the right thing and they just need to communicate more, or there's something that's in training they need to learn off that, because you're 100% right. There's something there. There needs to be something fixed up there, whether it's Dal or whether it's Rocco, but there's something there.
I think sometimes it's like, it's definitely like a chain as well. Like if Rocco's not trusting Sean and he comes inside a little bit, then he's obviously pitched himself on the inside, and then
that happens a lot too.
Yeah, so and that's happened. I think if you remember, we did that to the Knights a few times last year. I think the Titans even got us one time off the scrum base. I can't remember who it was. It might have been. Yeah, but yeah, you can get caught out pretty easily if the teams get their spacing right and their speed right off the scrum base.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I totally agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah, it was one thing that we actually really had really good success with Vilea in the back of the day. Of like, Vilea used to get on his outside men really, really easily, especially off the scrum base. He has a really good first step. But like, as us in defensive, like, maybe there's something that needs to look at there. Maybe Rocco's doing a lot more work for Shawnee on his inside, and he's maybe lolling on the outside a little bit. Maybe it's just, maybe we're continuing to look inside a little bit more. You know what I mean? Like, we definitely had a switch of edge back rollers in this game as well for forward. And I thought forward was actually really strong. Yeah, I don't want to put anything on him, but maybe there's a system there that something's not going in. Maybe they're trusting their inside man, or they just got to overwork for their inside man.
I think there's just too much movement at the moment. Like, I saw Laban came off, Barnett went out to edge. Like, it's good, but it's good that we've got guys that can cover, but we need some just some consistency in terms of, we're missing a new quarter. I really feel like a lot. Even Capewell, in terms of fixing up your rotations. I mean, I always knew that Laban wasn't going to play, the full 80.
No.
But to see him, first go to the left side, then forward to the right, and then Barnett took him. It was just like there's a bit too much in such short notice to be
Mm.
able to pull off a decent game plan.
Yep.
So I think there's that. I mean, we'll have to. The big question will be like how we turn up in, like, was it 10 days time
Yeah.
after a big rest, and if the performance is the same, then there's some really questions, because I think maybe we just, I just feel as though it's kind of just we've hit a wall.
Mm.
Teams know it and they've game planned for it.
Yep.
I can't really fault the Titans, and I can't even fault the ref, man. I know,
Well, I
you
can't
know,
fault
yeah,
many teams that have come up against us, bro.
no,
Honestly, I do believe that the three teams that have come up against us have had really great performances. Like they've all completed over a 90% rate. I think the Dragons were just under because of late in the game they finished out, but they completed 95% in that first half. The Titans only had one error in that first half, and for the Titans, that's massive. And then the Manly Seagulls, like they had an incredible first 30 stint there where they put 18 points on us and we had to chase our tail, 16 points on us and had to
yeah,
chase our tail there. Whether it's too much of us allowing teams to have great games on us as well. Like, it felt like our game plan tries to stop that, but it happens. Like teams end up loving the grind and have a high completion rate against us, and it really goes to our fault as well. I'm just sort of searching for answers here because honestly, it does. The game plan, everything we've seen goes right, but like, yeah, we just need to. Something needs to
like what
work.
what is your thoughts on when, like, there's at least one or two a game where Montoya gets on the outside,
Mm.
but he doesn't quite complete it. You know what I mean? Do you
But
think
see,
it's Do you think that that's missed opportunities, or do you think he's actually? Do you think a better winger would finish those opportunities, or what's your thoughts? Is he doing the right thing because there's no space and no one will get any better space based off of the system?
yeah, I don't think there's too much space for Monty on that left edge because I don't believe our left edge creates that much space on the outside for him in general to start off with. He had a couple of moments in this game where he had some really, really nice looks, but that space got cut off really, really quickly. If you notice, when he was trying to he tried that one moment later on in the game where he was like, had some room, darted down the sideline, and then that cover came really, really quickly. But like, if you look at anyone else that could replace him, there we don't have any really amazing finisher other than probably Setu too. And if we're going to go Roger
Yeah,
to the outside, I'd say the Rogers finishing game is not as good as what people think it is on that winger
I
role,
don't even
especially
think
at
on the left
30.
side he'll be as good as anything else.
No,
Honestly, guys, the push to the left wing, you're not going to get much more, bro. I'm just going to call
no,
it right now.
no.
Unless you got an amazing setup guy on the inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel that that's kind of,
Like
um, yeah.
we are a right side and middle dominant team.
Just
Like
wanted
that's
to
just
address
really
that
what
guy
it
that in
is.
the comments said that he did get a break.
Mm.
Um, he got a break when Walker did come on. But yeah, he still looks tired. I mean, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. The
Um,
boys are out on their feet. Like,
Sorry, Adam brought him off, and then he didn't come on for another 20. So it's just there's some symptoms there in that middle defense. And then I think Sean is being targeted, and whether or
mm,
not that's because Newcourt is missing,
yeah.
I think there's a bit of truth to that.
Yep.
Um,
I'm coming
yeah,
around to that a little bit more that every
yeah,
week.
yeah, and
Um,
I wonder if we can't keep getting him targeted that much. I mean, he's good. He's improved. I mean, he's a really good defender in terms of what half, but he's getting targeted a lot, man, like a
yeah.
lot.
I also would throw up too because this will just help us try to like nail down answers as well. Like maybe Shawnee not training as much with the side too does not help with our defensive reads and stuff on that edge as well. Him like being hampered in that, like he will get through runs and that, but a lot of his training probably would come down to not like defensive looks as well. No, like
Yeah,
tackle training and that. Whether that doesn't help as well, but I would agree there's actually more of an argument now to really missing a very strong, bigger body, an intimidating body on that edge that allows teams not wanting to go down that side and attack at Shawnee one on one because Rocco's doing a lot of overtime too, trying to cover up
Rocco's
Shawnee.
doing some cover work too. Yeah, and you saw the Fafita try was beautiful, but it told you the symptoms of what's happening. That Sean's taking these one-on-one hits, and Rocco's having to cover, and then someone like Fafita gets his arm around, and you
Yeah.
think there's a whole bunch of back rowers in this comp that can do that. And if
Yep.
unless we can get some inside pressure to close things down, we just can't keep getting that type of, yeah. And it's funny because I think everyone thought the left side would be a defensive leaking because of
Yep.
RTS and that. but it's almost there's the tape out on that right side at the moment is just it's glaring, and it's week after week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely looking like there is a problem there, and we definitely need to look into
Just-
something. What's
I
going
just want
on?
to talk about Brody Blake's comment about missing Metcalf. I
Yeah,
do think there's some validity because Metcalf, he gave
Shadow
you some
Bros.
kicking options. He gave you a bit of speed. Um, yeah, I honestly feel that what I mean. You mentioned it. I heard you say it, Ash. That putting you see how Walker. It's either Walker at the first receiver, and then it's Sean out the back there.
It looked
I think that
nice.
needs to yeah, but I think that needs to be Tamaiti in that spot
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
with his with the lead run with the back rower
Yeah, do
and
you
let
think our
him. I think
system was built around Metcalf a lot more, and that's
yeah,
what's hurting
yeah.
us a little
I
bit?
think so. I think a little bit, and I think there's some validity to that. Like I think that Metcalf was really well drilled in. I think it was going to develop even
Mm.
more, but I think just positionally getting like if you look at it, man, it's Boyd was just shooting out the line no matter what. He just knew
Oh,
because
hard.
the shape is so deep. If you can cut it off there, there's nothing they can do because you got to do a really backwards pass sometimes.
Mm.
Like if you think about our shape, it's so yeah. I mean, and I think the reason why it is deep because it can stress different parts of the field, but
Yeah,
if you're not getting the stresses through the middle of the field, it's easier to just cut that off. And I think
yeah.
Tamati, like that's when we're talking about not getting good ball. He's getting ball, and it's always under pressure. He's got to give either a quick pass, but I think maybe he might do a little bit better where. And then let's talk about it, man. The
Mm.
CNK as as a as a ball distributor to the left. Because I
Mm.
know people were saying,
We've
"Oh,
been
that's
talking about this.
the
Yeah.
Panthers system is the fullback never goes left." Okay, well, yeah, I'm just thinking, what can we do to help that left side? If it's gonna literally be, like, we've seen this so many games now how they play
Yep.
on the left side, and I
Yep.
don't think that's gonna change.
Yep. Well,
But
definitely not with
there's actually like Tamita's not
Ronaldo.
getting anything like to question him. Like, there's no double leads that way, so he can't play kind of what on the out the back. There's no even what the tunnel ball where you have the fullback coming in as a decoy, and then you tip on. There's nothing there, and
Mm.
I'm a little bit concerned about if that's how it's going to be for the rest of the stuff. Then I'm a little bit concerned of how we're really accessing that left side.
Yeah, I think like overall, like I actually thought our left side had a lot of good moments in this game in attack. Like there was a couple of really nice moments where, like, because I saw that from what you're saying as well, but I also thought that there was some really good shape that when Shawnee and Dylan Walker were on as well, that really helped with the same look that you're talking about. With your video that Tomate he's playing 4-man on that outside, so he's got his edgy, he's got his center, and he's got his winger there,
Yeah,
which is what he prefers. Like we've seen with the Broncos, all those tries that were set up, they came off like a really deep outside look of a second row on his outside, and then a center in that. So he plays a lot better in a half look than he does actually on a 3-man, which is Metcalf's game, where he likes to get on the outside of the edge back row and have a 3-on-2, right?
yeah. Because
So there's a lot
the
more
thing
of
I'm
that,
thinking
right?
about is it will do a lot more for Roger.
Mm,
I'm thinking is that
yep.
get
Because there was a
Roger.
really nice the Monty opening actually came from a really good set that had the
Yeah,
tip on late as
yeah,
well. Like this is all will come from like when we do redo video as well, because I felt like there was some good signs, but also Tomate is just a different player that we got to learn to really like what is his benefits, and that's why your video was so good as well. Is I felt like our system on that left side was made around Metcalf, and Shawnee sweeping to that left side and being that half that plays both sides, and having a two fullback look on either end. And Metcalf does the best work as a fullback, in my
yeah,
opinion, in that 3-on-2 look instead of using an edge back rower. That's when he always gets questionable with an edge back rower there. He doesn't know when to play short and when to go back out the back. And usually his out the back play is not that great. But when he goes on the outside of the edgy, his speed just cuts out. He's so
yeah,
much more direct. And that will help RTS in the future. Where Tamade likes to use an edge back rower, and there's a lot more pressure on Roger to try to cover the space, because as soon as Tamade gets that edge back rower and he goes out the back to Rog, there's no fullback that's going to cover that 3-on-2 look. It ends up being a 2-on-2. if
Yeah,
that makes
yeah,
sense. So
yeah,
we don't
yeah,
have Chansey to sweep out the back because Tomato likes to play so much more with an edge back row on the outside of him. That makes sense.
yeah, yeah. And I just think we need to get Rog. He's cutting back in too much, like, and
Mm,
that's because the defense is forcing inside. But we need to get him on the outside, and however we
yeah,
got to do that, that's just what we got to do.
yeah.
To
I think you're
create.
100%
Yeah,
right. I
yeah,
think like Tomato might probably have to get more comfortable with playing on the outside of like, Shawnee having a lead runner and Shawnee playing with that edge back rower. He does, but like we see different looks of that. And then Tomato being 3-on-2 and actually being more direct and playing with Roger.
yeah.
Giving
There's
Roger good
there's
ball, but yeah.
yeah, there's actually a delay too in
Mm,
how they like. It's not all moving in one at the moment. I mean, you
yeah,
can just see like everyone's timings is a little bit out.
yeah,
And that's why I'm just thinking, man, maybe we'll give it one more, like, a good, hopefully in the nights we can see everyone kind of readjust, get their timing right. I mean, it's taken Capewell a little while to get his kind of in sync with Sean.
yeah.
It's taken some guys just a little bit more time. And I just, yeah, I think there's a bit of work to do, bit of review for them. But I
Mm,
just want to go back to this guy's comment. Caleb, he said, I get the analysis and love it, but one thing I'm not seeing we had last year's heart and hustle. Seriously missing and can read in the body language.
yeah, good old Caleb.
I think the guys, yeah, and I agree with it. They're trying their best, but they're like they got nothing. I feel like
Yeah,
they're kind of there's nothing in the head's just going as far as it can,
yep.
and they're trying to g each other up when they score, but it's still like there's some validity to what he's saying. I think a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. I think like, again, like my whole look on everything is maybe we are like the system that we're running defensively right now. And I love the system and I think it's incredible if we were able to make it work and it really can drown out teams and do exactly what the Panthers do, right? But maybe there is more questions now to are we a team that can do that? Like we can do that and look amazing, but there's been more games than not now that when we do that, as soon as teams get past that for a little period early in the
Yeah,
game, and in that middle block, the boys fall off their tackles because they're working so hard to hold teams down on the other end. And the boys turn their heads down straight away as soon as that doesn't go their way. The boys just got to get that. Probably adds to that comment too, is maybe just more mental fortitude of just going, listen, don't get your heads down when that doesn't happen. Our defense doesn't stop within like holding teams down the other end. When it goes down our end, work twice as hard as well. Like we need to really cover as much as we can on those tackles. Maybe the boys are tired there, but maybe fitness is a thing. Like there's a lot
yeah,
of like things that could be in play here. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
that's my only argument to that.
And I think it's not like it's not correctable. This stuff I think is all we can all get on.
100%.
We can fix this. We can get on a run. I
Yep.
think it's little tweaks. It's getting guys fresh too. I mean, great to get Zion's a run. Great for Laban to start. But
Yep.
remember, these guys have only played 1 or 2 games. Like
Yeah. Exactly.
we're not, we don't have guys like Marata coming off the bench with over 100 games. I don't know if he's got 100, but or Jazz
Yeah.
100 games probably.
Yep.
Bunty 100 games. Like we got young guys, and so there is some truth to that Nas Williams breaking news fishing Cleary.
No way. No way.
Big
I'm sure
minute.
Fish would be looking at
They
this
have
going, I can
reconned it
change
there.
this. He's like, yeah, I'm out of here, boy.
No. Once I saw, no, I think, but I do think. I mean, it's scary to think we've been a lot of us saying 13 plus most fans. We'll get back on the wagon.
Mm,
Now we've lost to the worst team in the comp.
mm,
And it's like at home on Anzac Day. It's like
yeah.
we need
Is
to regroup and like reevaluate where this team's at.
mm,
I still think it'd be top four. I
I
definitely
do too.
think.
Yeah.
I just think that we need to look at this season as a totally different way, and that we we're actually got to have to regroup and kind of refigure things out a bit.
Yeah, yeah. I might try and do some more deep dives and really try to figure things out too. Of like, because there's a lot of things, there's a lot of positives we have in these performances, but what hurts it so much is that the big negative is we are losing games and we're losing it to like one of our stronger points in moments too is our defense, especially down our back end, especially we're seeing last year, although our goal line defense was actually really strong in moments too.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it was.
but like our positives are like there's moments in the game where we can drown a team out and really, really turn the pressure on. If the boys really get their game plan right, it will come off and everything will go right. But it's really hard to say that because every time we are losing at the moment and it's not really looking that way. But I'm sure like every coach, every commentator, every player will look at these performances and say like they got something there. It's just they need like something needs to They need to fix up on these little areas that will help this game plan really grow. And that's the really
Yeah.
big thing of it. When we do look at the amount of players we've used, the amount of combinations we're changing now, the amount of players that are trying to fill in spots. Like we had 2 edge back rollers that have now switched either side. Like every time I see Laban, I've always thought Laban was a right side predominant edge back roller. Now going into NRL, he's now become a left side edge back roller.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
another thing too. Jacko Ford's been our left side edge back roller, goes to the right side in this game. Like,
Yeah, that was too. Yeah, it's too much in too
it's
short a time.
too much in too short a time, especially with the little boys. Everyone's saying we're tired. We're tired, and this is the big thing at the moment. We're tired. Injuries are hurting us. Boys are switching different positions currently right now. That pie the boys need to come back, and the boys need to come back off injury and get all ascendancy through the middle and start turning performances around and really get us believing in ourselves again. Because there is moments here, but it's just really hard to say the positives here when people are just always going to relay back to. Also, we've just lost to the worst team in the competition.
Well, I think and maybe we're not converting opportunities, because if you think about it, Tohu could have scored if he had a bit more pace in his legs. Remember that towards the end of the game he came on and he got caught at the goalpost.
Yeah,
I thought he was actually gonna. I think that was their opening. If that was either Dylan Walker or whatever, you should have scored there. Just a little bit slow. There's a few other opportunities, like nitpicking the play the ball with Egan knocking on. I thought it was a bit too far, but that was another missed try. You know what I mean? And we could have got over it. But I think that the attack isn't the major issue.
No,
Think of the tries to add in. Well, he nearly scored. Did he score 2 or did he just score 1?
He scored 2 in this one.
Yeah. But that's example of when we're breaking teams down and we're moving them around. We can go through the middle like that, and that's great, But it's just again, you cannot defend the 27 points. The soft one to Fafita. I can give Dallin a break on that second one, but the little jam on the first one, and then
was a problem.
What was another one? I can't remember the other ones. There's a few other ones.
AJ Brimson one was a really good.
Brimson was just.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and Laban just overshot that a little bit, I think.
That one. That was. Yeah. That was Tanner Boyd, dummy and go.
Tanner Boyd, and then Brimson got another one, eh? Yeah,
Brimson got another one later on, which is off for feeder with the the offload.
Yeah, so it's just if you can't. That's unacceptable at NRL level, and if the data's there, and unless we can kind of really tighten it up, it's a thing. But you guys, I just want to shout out Jazz Tamatesi. Click the like button, please.
100%, Jazz.
We've got 105 of you in here. And Ash has been putting in the hard yards, answering all your comments. Let's get those likes up, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate everyone there being in here. Absolutely awesome. Yeah.
No, it is actually good to see all you guys in here, and there's a lot of constructive talk here, which is also a very positive thing. Especially, it's a lot easier to go very negative on the boys, but I think the best thing as a fan base, is to try and get around the boys right now and really just trust, and they just got to fix things up and really get behind them in this one, because there is areas we do need to fix up on. As a first grader, you need to make your tackles, you need to do all that. Understandable, but also we're going through a hard time with injuries. A lot of players are playing in different positions and that. But I do want to also touch on, because I want to throw it to you. What were your thoughts on Zion? I was actually really, really happy with the way he played and just the energy he brought. What were your thoughts overall there?
Loved it, man. He picked the game up. He came in and for almost 10 minutes there, we were just on. We got a few tries off of his energy, man. So I just loved it. Loved what he brought. I love that he didn't, make any errors. Played a clean game. Yep. Sometimes, young guys come in and they want to try and force things, to show the coach or whatever that, hey, I'm ready. And he just stayed within his pattern, man. I mean, he ran some nice lead lines. I think again, when you're talking about guys drawing attention, like a new Cordair, I think Zion's one of those guys that can draw attention,
Yep.
And with more time, he'll come, and if he's integrated properly, hit him on a short ball, or even just use him as a decoy, you'll get those little bites, and then Egan can work off that, and vice versa. So, yeah, I thought he was really, really good.
Yeah, I thought it was definitely a positive look of Zion, especially when we're trying to look into the future of what he can grow into. If he's got this sort of mentality every sort of game, his aggressive run style, and he didn't look like he dropped off any during any of these minutes too. I think he played a solid 30. Yeah, no, he only played a solid 10, 15. It
Yeah.
felt like he was out there for a little bit longer, but if he doesn't have a drop off in the way he runs the ball, the way he goes about his business, especially defensively, made 5 tackles, didn't miss any. I know it's in a short period and that, but still really good signs there. The future is bright for someone like that, and maybe could win himself a bench role later on in the future.
Sorry, KM. Shout out KM. Thank you.
Yes,
Easy
it
can
was.
Marcus and Katoa's a better. Are you a Dolphins fan? Are you? Yeah.
Stop that. Stop that. But
Give us a like while you're here, anyway, buddy. Before you appreciate
and
it.
Brody Blake, near injury free year last year, wasn't disrupted in the squad, in and out.
We had our injuries, but yeah, I mean it's
Wasn't too crazy.
like what we had Jazz go out. We had a few weeks of we had more sin bins last year. We had we had more like
Suspensions.
suspensions, eh?
Yep.
I think we'd missed guys for a week, but we haven't had this type of injury toll where it's like guys are gone for a long period of time. So
There's a
yeah,
big one here from Joey. Injury update from me. I saw Rocco Berry come off last minutes with a dislocated finger, hence why Laban jumped out on late. So next week we could see Pompey or Ali Leotor in that 3 jersey. I'd probably sway away Ali being on that right side, unless we want to push Rog to a right side, which I hope we don't do. Keep Rog on the left and try and make him learn that. But out of the two, Pompey could cover on the right and could do a good job, but Ali... Actually, they're both playing left side at the moment too, so maybe Pompey will be the one to cover, being the more experienced number. What do you reckon there?
yeah, probably. Yeah,
Hopefully it's not too bad.
well, I think Leotoa played a good game against the Breeders last year. I mean, I think we're just looking for anyone that can kind of do a good job.
Yeah.
If it is Pompey, I mean, it's going to be okay. But Leotoa has the X factor. He's got the speed. He is the future. Does Webby want to pull let him in now and get some reps? Yeah, there's a big question to ask, but yeah, just we really tested. I think, I think,
100%.
I think it's like we were tested, but I don't think Webby was thinking we're going to be tested this early in this much. Because
No.
I feel like a lot of these guys haven't had massive reps, and they're just lacking experience. I mean, like I'm talking about the Laban that he let the try into Boyd. That's just experience, That's just a young
Yep.
guy. It just takes time, and I think that's where I think Webby's like he's trying to ride the experienced guys for so long, but now they're breaking down. Like I even think Egan, when he pulled up with that knee knock, I was like, he's
I
just showing
know.
vulnerabilities of like just fragility.
Frailness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like that's the knock on him. Literally for Origin and for us
Yep.
too. In terms
100%.
of we're losing. We haven't for the last 2 or 3 weeks. We haven't seen much from him in terms of ruck.
Yep.
And let's not say it's on him. He's
No.
not getting obviously the speed of play ball that he needs.
Yep.
But maybe he doesn't have that. Yeah, we need to look at probably when Freddie Lusser comes back, how we can kind of like I
Work with
think
that.
for Egan he might be the off the bench type.
Best hit. Yeah, I don't
Yeah, I
know.
don't know.
I don't want to keep
Seems
throwing that up too, because it's also like I feel like I don't know. Egan does a lot of his best work too. It's like setting up things a little bit later on in the game, and that's where his deceptiveness does come from. So it's tough, man. It's like we are definitely getting tested on
it's
our
more
numbers.
defensively. Hey, it's more
Yeah,
he's
it's more
getting absorbed
defensively.
defensively, and
Yep.
then when you're giving to off attack, I think for us, like teams are saying like, yeah, they'll throw the ball wide, like they'll have really good shape to start off the game for 20 minutes, but if we grind them down, they'll fall them back into the basic patterns.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
that's
and
what I'm thinking. Teams are thinking.
you're 100% right,
Yeah,
because I think it's been 2 weeks in a row or close to 3 weeks in a row that Wade Egan's actually topped our tackle count currently at the moment. He's topped it tonight with 49. I think a couple of weeks ago he hit like about 50 over 50s, didn't he? Especially in that 90-minute effort with the Seagulls, he got through a ton of tackles
yeah,
too. So there's
yeah,
definitely validity to that argument. Maybe
yeah.
teams are targeting him more so
Yeah,
than
I
the
don't think
defense.
there's anything wrong with his offensive game. He can
Nah.
dissect any markers,
Yeah.
bro. But it's just the energy to kind of like when you're doing it hard out of your own end, you're like, I'm just gonna pass this one off. It's just the little mental games because sometimes you're just like, no, I'll just pass it. And Chance again, he's stepping up massively,
Far,
but
bro. Is
it's
he
like
ever?
but sometimes you're like, you might lack that energy to go to push that marker because there might be there, and you're just like, I don't know. I'll shift it on, but I'm just making stuff up. Might be.
Yeah, 100%, bro. Like a lot of it, like the boys offensively, they all got through their numbers incredibly. Like Chauncey 262, like added for Blake 2 line breaks, 2 tries, like and he still hit 222 meters and that. It's like we don't want him to hit that because we want other people to hold up that weight, but there's no
Yeah,
one that's going to hold up that weight when he comes off at the moment. Like we don't have Murata through the middle, which is probably what the plan was. Murata was probably hold up through the middle
yeah,
there, and we don't have Jazzy there. We don't have a lot of these players that can cover when these boys come off, and even then before that, that was definitely to our deficit. When Ads comes off, who do we have that's going to hold in there too? And there's a
yeah,
lot of arguments to that now. So Ads getting through big minutes. Mitch Barnett 164 meters, like. The boys, the effort wise is there. It's just
yeah. The effort.
defensively, man.
I think it's like, that's why I've always, when someone gets 50 tackles, yeah, but if you lost 30-6, so what was the 50 tackles for? It's
Yeah.
like you almost want guys to have like 20 tackles and have 100 run meters, if they're a back row or whatever it may be, and that's a good sign that you're on top. But I think the big thing is like, we're just sort of. Yeah, I just don't want our guys like. I think for a great example was Zion coming on. It just lifted everything, but we need the impact almost all the time. And I've talked about this, the ball and play style that we're playing. Like we're choosing to play this style because we think that
Yep.
we're going to go. And then it's almost like guys are too tired at the moment, or we're not playing the style that we want. We're playing the style that we want to play, but we're getting outplayed by our own style.
Yeah, because we don't have the cover for
You
it.
have the
That's the
cover
thing.
for it, and it's
Yeah.
like I think that's where the frustration is because when Zion came on, we weren't changing anything strategically. We just
No.
did more of what we could, but the line speed was better. The lead runners hit the lines hard, and
Yep.
then it just generated some more momentum. So I think it's just kind of like we need more from obviously the bench, and but guys are running tired. I think Ribby has pushed them to the brink in some cases.
Yeah, I do believe that too. In some cases as well, I think there's validity to that. I just think that injuries really hampered us from really playing our style that we really want to because we still play it, and I think that's what's frustrating for fans to watch too. Is like there it will come to a time where we get our like proper first graders back that this will look a lot better too. Like I really do believe that. It's just at the moment that we're just not. Yeah, there's moments in the game where we just lull out, and I think this is a good comment here too, like from Brody Blake as well. Like shout out, this is actually my bro that actually plays like he's a gun, he's a gun.
Oh, awesome!
But yeah, then the what completing well, building pressure, but let the Titans off with piggyback, and then defense just wasn't there. So that was pretty much the tale of the tape in this game. I felt like a lot of their penalties, like they had a 5-1 or 4-1 penalty count that we just couldn't build the pressure to there. And then when we goal line defense is where we struggle. Tiffany made that stat earlier on in the season. There's so much validity to that stat now as we see. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this guy Hayden Dick.
Yep.
He's saying, "You guys happy with the gameplay and you agree with these continuous uncontested?" I agree with it if you can do the rest of the
If we
work
can do it.
defensively.
Yep.
Yeah, it's great to pin teams down, but if teams are getting 50, 60 meters off of that, then it's not working. You know, so that's why I'm just saying we're down troops or we're guys aren't able to compete for that amount of ball and play that we're trying to do, and yeah, teams are kind of using it against us, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I'm completely happy with the game plan. I think
Yeah,
the
I'm
game
happy
plan
with it too.
works.
Yep.
It works more so than not. I really like, it's hard to say that now when we've on like, two really bad losses. Obviously, the Dragons and the Titans will always be looking at like on the sheet, we're going to be like, how do we lose to those sort of sides and that? But like the game plans does work. It's just, I think the boys, like maybe the boys just falling off a little bit more at the moment and they're tired and things are just not happening the way we really want them to. Like, I do believe in the game plan. If we're going to hit and really contest on those 1%ers, like
Yeah.
get down there, make our tackles, not concede penalties, not concede errors. Those little things is what makes this game plan work. Penalties were the ones that really like let a lot of this off, and the Titans really let us have it anytime they got anywhere close to our trial line tonight.
Yeah. And making like smart decisions I think is important. Like the Montoya knock on, like I, he has to own that one because he knew what he did. Or I'm sure he would have known, but he tried to cover himself. He tried to get himself out of a hole. Obviously, there's pressure on him with these errors, and he's probably thinking about it. But yeah, you just sometimes got to let that. Don't challenge that. It wasn't a
Yeah,
try. Yeah, it wasn't like it was off a try or anything. Like it was like I don't know. Yeah.
I'll put my hand up, bro. And Brody, if you're still in the chat, my bro, because this is the bro I've been messaging during the game and that, he'll actually have receipts on this. But when that happened, I was calling for challenge. I didn't think Monty dropped it
Oh,
until I
yeah.
saw the replay. And it wasn't like a clean, hard drop. Like he touched it, obviously like that. But like, in that moment, I was like, if he knew, obviously he shouldn't have challenged it in that. But that was a heavily contested kick in that. The one that really got to me, and I'm not calling for Dahlia dropped either, but like I know there's going to be a call
Oh,
too.
yeah,
But
that was horrible.
that
Yeah.
offload out of the back end should never have happened.
Nah.
But I understand why these boys do it. And honestly, this is where I come back to you. I had this argument a little bit earlier about Monty too. The boys try really, really hard and sometimes try too hard to change the game in themselves. And that happens in moments too. Like Dal felt like the scoreboard pressure was getting to him.
Yeah.
The offload out of his back end. He wanted to do something special to hold up the boys and to get the crowd heavy. But that's not how you win games, unfortunately. There's sometimes you do. Gold Coast sometimes can throw an offload and things happen and amazing. But, it's hard to over a period, that's what wins games is just holding onto the ball and getting through things.
And this is a frustration game. Like the Gold Coast hardly tested us, and they scored 20. Like they hardly sat on our line, and like we had to they just scored. And it reminds me of a little bit of even the Dragons that just these lapses defensively, and they're just costing us massively, like in really bad spots. It's almost like teams aren't even earning those tries, and we there's a bit of frustration but I just feel as though we're letting ourselves down. And teams are just, man, they're not even having to work sometimes for some of these points.
You
know what I mean?
A couple of tries off the scrums, stuff like that.
Yep.
Like, we should be defending all them. Like they're the really bad ones. Like, I know you get caught out short for numbers and stuff, but just moments like that, we need to scramble as best as we can. And I think, as I keep touching on, we do a lot of our best work down the other end of the field defensively. When it comes down to the late to the game, middle part, and back end is where we need to fix up on mostly. Like when we get into our grind of footy, we can really hold a team in and do really well there. But as soon as the team breaks out of that, that's where we fall apart. And they had a lot of ruck ascendancy in this game too. Like for me, it was a lot of like I was thinking the referee gave them a lot more time, holding and wrestling, and that's credit to Desi and stuff, because the Titans wrestle was incredible tonight and they were awesome. Like, that's not, you don't put that up to the referee too. Like we had time to wrestle too. We weren't really doing it as much as we could, but that's where we sort of lose it in the middle game. And then when we go down to our back end, we just can't cover, and there's no cover tackles. And I think that's the big system we need to really look at, is that right side currently right now. We've seen it now. And like we've seen it for consistent weeks. That there's questions there. Like now there's questions there.
Yeah. And the soft tries like the Fafita one. Look like there's like 2 meters out and he reaches out and scores. It's just like
Benny Hunt last week.
You just can't have those. And like that's a bad sign, because it's showing that you're vulnerable. But like I said, if you looked at the Titans, they were so pumped. I mean, obviously they're pumped to get a first win. But also pumped, like they've been through the ringer. And I think teams are aiming up like massively.
Yep.
And these are good coaches that can get their teams on fire.
Yep.
But they're telling them like, boys, you'll get a big wave at the start, but we'll get them throughout the game, which is alarming, because you don't. You want coaches to tell their guys almost like how they face the Panthers. Guys just. Like how was the Seabold last year? Guys, kick on the first. That's the only way we're going to win. Like you want them to feel like there's no other game plan than kicking on the first.
Exactly. And have that intimidation factor or something.
You want them to be intimidated. When one team does it to you, it's not a good sign, because the rest of the comp can look. Oh, okay, the Warriors aren't that strong. Oh, well,
there's a chink in the armor.
The armor, and once it's out there on the tape, unless you correct it, Webby said, "Hey, judging me, he's saying about the Dragons, it was a one poor game, over the last 18 months." He said, "Let's just hope it doesn't be 2 or 3." Well, it's pretty much 3 now.
If you really look at it,
you better, before teams really, get putting their ears back and really up for it now.
Obviously the big thing is now is like trying to rebuild that and try to rebuild the whole thing of we do, like, because a lot of teams are having their better games against us now. It's because they are trusting the process and they trust they can get to that era at the moment of being our right side. We were so, I felt like as fans, we were so stuck into how we weren't scoring as many points as possible when we can. Like, early on in the season, people are going to understand defense is really what is key in the competition early on, right? Our attack will come. That's always what will come, but defense is built early on in the season, right?
Yep.
That has not held up currently now. And this is the thing, is that we got a 3-game average now of the Seagulls, the Dragons, and the Titans all putting 20 plus on us. And that's where we need to clean up on. It's not like, I know attack is something that everyone wants us to look amazing too. And as Warriors fans, we've seen amazing attack in the past. Like, we understand that as Warriors fans, we were one of the better attacking teams in the competition, that will turn up one week and we'll put 50 on you if we really wanted to. We've seen that before, right? But we need to focus on defense. That's the biggest thing. We need to get this defense right, because no matter what game plan, what we'll play with, like, we could play like the Titans and Manly last week and just throw all attack in the win and have a 30-30 score and go back to being that team that's inconsistent.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Consistency comes from defense. It doesn't come from attack.
The issue I've got with, I think Webby should get the double subs, how Penrith do Fisher and Leota at the 20-minute mark. Pull both add AFB, and he hasn't been able. He doesn't trust anyone at the moment.
Yep.
Like, I don't think Ali is the same as what Bunty and Jazz doing in terms of like controlling the ruck cleanup work. I think Ali is more of an impact runner.
Yeah,
he's more what Zion was doing today. He's more of that in the back end of the game.
Yep.
But we just can't keep pushing guys like AFB. Like, I think Barnett came off for Walker, but AFB stayed. Like, we need to get both of them off. We need to get back to that type of a system.
Yep.
But Dylan Walker was really good. I think he's just finding his feet again. He's a good footy player. He just, I think we need to. Yeah, he just needs another extra game. So we're kind of caught in these really tricky positions.
We are.
The team's kind of like in a drop. And let's be honest, they're in a kind of a lull.
They're
falling off. But then you're trying to integrate guys while that's happening.
Yep.
So Dylan's just come back, and then you're moving Jacko forward to the right edge, and then you put Laban out there, and then Barnett's filling out at left edge, and it's just too much.
It always sucks because I as I said earlier on in this, like, I don't want to be a guy that keeps repeating myself and saying, like, I'm not trying to create excuses for our squad, right? But there is facts that we are dealing with a big injury crisis at the moment, especially for the middle. And you kind of answered your own question too with the double change and stuff. Like, Webby probably doesn't trust these boys yet. Like, these boys are yet to see, like, whether they can hold up to that. And if there was Bunty and Ale, or Bunty and Jazzy, he could do a double change. He could bring those boys off, get them rest. Like, he could do a triple change. He can bring Tohu off and have a rest too. Run Dylan Walker through the middle, and would have the ascendancy through that way. But he just doesn't have that at the moment. I feel like he's trying to run this game plan with all these boys to see who will stand up and who can hold up with that. But it's just not happening, and then he's not trusting in that now. So he's not going to do the double change. He's not going to really trust in the Mai'us and say that, all right, I'm going to put you on for 30, see if you can do 30. He only played 15. Like, even though I thought he played 30, but he only played 15. You know what I mean? Like, that's where it comes down to it, right? So he doesn't trust in these boys yet, but that will come. And that's the biggest thing is, like, we could look at this two ways, guys. Like, we are definitely in a negative spot right now. We are losing games. We've lost 2 games now to teams that a lot of people wouldn't have put anywhere close to maybe top 8, especially the Titans after the start of their year. I don't think anyone had the Titans anywhere close to being one of those sort of sides. But there's 2 ways to look at things. There's a positive way and a negative way. The positive way would be to look at it as least we're getting these games out like we are right now, and we're learning the lessons right now. The negative way, if we want to take the negative route too, guys, is also going, but we're in a lull. What if we go through more of a lull? We're going to go crashing down. Like, I try to choose the other side and just say, listen, we're getting the games out now. We're learning the lessons now. When boys come back off injury, they'll spark something really, really nice.
Yeah.
And then we'll build combinations mid to late this year. But the big games we need to be circling. We got the Knights next week. Hopefully get over the top of the Knights, because we don't want to be on a 3-game losing streak after a 3-game winning streak. And also, then we got 2 big matchups, the Roosters and the Panthers, before we get a bye, and the Dolphins, but before we get the bye. So we've got a really tough run, especially with all the people that are trying to come back and when they're actually available to come back. So we got to be positive that when these boys come back, hopefully everything would be what we say it is, because there is good performances here in with bad performances. That makes sense. There's good things that we can look at, but you guys get the choice. Like, do you just want to look at it negatively or do you want to look at it positively? It's okay to have these chats about it, have constructive conversations about this is what we need to fix up on. I think we all agree. Defense, we need to fix up on. We still need to see that left side attack get to a point where we're like, okay, this looks good. We can go both sides. And just consistency. And that's the big thing, the three things that we need to look at. But we got to understand that also it's a long season. We can change that. These are things we can change.
Yeah, we can. And I think, we just gotta, I think change expectations now. I was thinking things would just roll off. We thought. I think I didn't think we'd all. Roger hasn't maybe scored one or two tries so far, and that was probably from fullback and wing. Hasn't yet scored from a centre. Not saying we quit on it. I'm just thinking like some things haven't been fully, haven't worked to a full effect yet. Some of those changes, obviously, we're still kind of, struggling. We're struggling right now. And I've got no excuses. I don't think there are any excuses. There's no, like, we can't jumpstart this season. I don't think, like, there's no way around it right now. I think boys are going to figure it out.
Yeah.
The coaching staff have got to figure it out. Strength and conditioning, the whole club need to figure it out. And they're going to have to build into it again, like we're talking about. They're going to have to build into the season. Like, I don't even think it's a given at the Knights, even with Ponga or anything like that. I think you're going to have to really work for each game now. And you're going to have to really fight to sort out your penalties, your errors, They're compounding almost every week. So, that's my kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah, 100%. I can't wait. I actually can't wait to do a deep dive and really figure out what's the real key stats that come out of these three performances, because we get a really good rolling average here of like the 3 games here. What can we look at? Where are we faltering? Like, what's really going on? Because, there's been good performances within the bad performances. And as I keep saying, like, I think we all agree too. Like, we see the potential here. We see the potential to side, but it's onto the boys and onto the coaching staff to really get it out of the boys. And, hopefully when a couple of boys come back, we do get that in mid to late this season. And, that's all we got. We got is hope, That's all we got.
And like, let's not kid ourselves. We've played a couple games and maybe 3 games in 14, 15 days. We've got a 10-day. We can get some fresh legs. 100%. We can kind of do some more evaluation. We can integrate Tamaiti a bit more. We can get some better. We can work on our defense.
Yep.
We can get some some confirmed edges that are going to play rotations.
Get consistent footy.
Yeah, we can get some consistent footy, and maybe we need that to really rebuild, because we haven't got guys coming back till CHT's out a while, Jazz are going for quite a while, Marata's not till later on. So there's some concerning things, but overall, I just think we just got to hang tight. We just got to hang tight. Acknowledge that guys have that there's issues, but all I can think of is like we just got to hang tight, and Webby more than anything just needs to get a grip of the playing group.
Yep.
Because you can't keep just like expecting the boys to lift. You need to rest guys, or you need to find ways to help guys get better positions.
Yeah.
How can we get RTS in better positions? What can we do to help that? What can we do on that right edge to help Sean out? What's the solution? So I think it's a bit more of that type of stuff. But it's frustrating as fans. I mean,
it is.
And we we want things to work out. But
we wanted things to work out flawlessly. That's the thing.
I mean, this isn't like the Super Rugby where you play Moana Pacifica every 2 games or whatever, and you score 70 and feel good. Like, these teams are up for it, bro. And once the tape's out on you, any team can beat anyone. And it's a perfect example: Dragons and Titans. And look, I just saw the Dragons getting pumped 48-12. So that tells me about the competition, bro. You think you're up one moment,
Yep.
Brings you
And then
back.
he down straight again, bro. And that's the whole thing. It's like, I think what hurts is when we see teams like the Panthers have back to 3 years in a row and just look absolutely incredible. And the Melbourne Storm have just a freaking decade and more of just dominance through the competition. And we want to be that side so badly. And when we see moments like this, we just keep going back to like, we're never going to reach that point. But just trusting everything that we're doing right now, like pressure will create diamonds and pressure can also crack people, but it's really it's the nitty gritty now. Like, we can go either way. Like, we can go really, really bad from here. We can go really, really good,
58, 58 now. Said tight.
Far,
Oh, we're
bro.
not winning the comp. That's what we know, at least.
Yeah,
Dragons not winning anything this year.
there you go. There you go.
Where's Ned? Where is he at?
Yeah, where is that now? I actually was tipping the Dragons before this game too. I think every Warriors fan was tipping the Dragons before this one. But
Flanagan used up all the anabolics last week for last week's game.
yeah. Why does it have to be against us, man? And I always go back to we're the unluckiest team in the competition. I still honestly believe that. But
yeah.
Overall, when it comes to it, man, like, yeah, as I keep saying, there's definitely two ways as fans you could look at it. We could either, sit with the negative, or we can really try to hold on to the positives and just hope these boys really can turn around, just get behind the boys right now. They're going through an injury crisis. They're going through a lot of struggles right now. They're hurting. They're definitely not hitting the potential as what they probably hoped to as well. Before the season, everyone came out and everyone was like, Kate Wells and all that saying that we got premiership threats. And I still believe, I still think that's there, right? But obviously all the boys are going to be down on confidence right now. So I don't think that, I think we just need to come together right now. I think that's the biggest thing as fans is this is what creates a club is all the fans get behind everyone. And we just, this team will grow. Let's just believe in that.
And I think as fans, I get everyone's sentiments. I mean, I've seen fans now saying, drop this guy, drop that guy. Some fans, last year was a fluke. We can't be reflective and try and diminish what we've done as a club. Yes, you can only look at it right now, but to diminish what's happened in the past, I think that's just those aren't, for me, those aren't people that are really, they're more than happy when the Warriors are suffering and to just pile on, but we're just, this happens. You gotta change your expectations a little bit. You can't just expect that things will be perfect and Roger's going to score 12 tries by, it's
not the way it goes.
It's not like I said, they're not going to be able to jumpstart it anyway. They're going to have to find a way through these problems. Sorry, I'm repeating myself, but I'm just trying to keep everyone.
That's what we're doing.
It's hard to keep everyone calm, and we're acknowledging we're not saying everything's perfect and roses, but I'm honestly thinking I've been thinking about it. If you push RTS to left wing, it's not going to change much.
No.
If you do these changes, you're still going to get the same results.
Yeah, what lost is the game tonight, bro?
Yeah.
What lost is the game?
Yeah, I just think it's just purely down to ultimately the middles are struggling right now, and just but if you're going to think RTS will solve things for Montoya, but he's not going to get any better ball. And again, we can't think of this guy from the 2018 Roger.
No,
it's a different Roger. So I just think people need to changing this guy and that guy and all this stuff. There's no one there at the moment. You can't even. No. You have to go to Setu 2. How many games experience has he had? One game. Well, if he does 3 knock-ons and makes 3 bad reads, are you going to get rid of him and bring Montoya back on? You're going to be off him again.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you're asking guys like Leatoa to come in that haven't had NRL experience.
No.
I'm just saying, just hold. We're not saying Bradman Best is ready off the bench, or Bronson Sherry's ready. Oh well, then obviously change him. But where our depth is right now, you're asking Leatoa to come in a tough spot. You're asking Setu 2 to come in a tough spot.
Yeah,
it's not going to be as rosy coloured as you think it may be too.
You ask any team in the competition to go through what we're going through, and the Dolphins have been very strong with the amount of injury troubles they've actually had, but they get a lot of boys back too. But you ask the Panthers to drop their a lot of their bench rotation, they're going to struggle. If you're going to the amount of injuries that we have to be, it's a fact there. There's something that's hurting. We can't get rotations in right. We can't get a consistent game plan.
Ali scored Croker. And where's Croker now? He's retired, mate.
Yeah. On his last year.
He's on his last year and he's on his way up, bro.
Yep.
Schooling Croker isn't anything amazing, you know what I mean?
Overall, bro, like I'll ask this like solid question to you right now. You know what I mean? Like I'll ask you two solid questions to you right now. Like, do you still have belief in the boys that we're gonna make top four?
Yeah, I think the team's still like. I think
100%.
that just like it's more so showing now that you need your best guys to be able to do it.
Yep.
If you can't get your best guys, then it's probably not. It's going to be a top 8, or I think still the overall system is still pretty good. Like it just, but I just it doesn't look like with the current depth that we have is not going to happen. But if you get a Marata, if you can get the bench of a Marata, Walker, Bunty, and CHT or something like that, and you can get some consistency, bro, for sure.
For me, Jazzy's the one I can't wait. Jazzy's the one I want to get back because that's the one that's going to be more middle cover. Like Chanel coming back would be good as well, for maybe for Wado or something coming off in that. But like, you know, some more like that cleanup man in the middle of the ruck and that's what we really need currently right now. But also, like, what's the other thing? What lost us the game tonight? Just simplify it. What lost us the game tonight?
Yeah, I just think I think it's the grinded out like the style that we play, but we're just ruining that style.
Yeah.
For example, we were like 12-0 up, everything was going well, and then they attack our left side, and they score. It's 12-6, and just compounded from there. And it's like, well, if you're trying to build pressure, you got to be able to limit your errors. If you want the ball in play and you want to play a grinded out style, you have to be able to defend and focus, be able to defend on your goal line, because it's and just if you're continuing to have those issues, then you're going to get in games like this where you're going to be 18-0 down, and yes, you can go into your systems and you might get close, but ultimately you still lost, so that's my concern. Yeah.
Well, my biggest one, bro, like the simplest way to sum this up, defense lost us this game. And the more people that want to say, like, we should move Roger to the wing, we should do this, we should drop Dallin, we should drop this, like, no, we need to defend better. We need to learn how to get our defensive systems right, and to make sure that we don't drop off, especially when we are playing a very solid game plan that shows that there's points in it too. Like 24 points, bro, for a lot of teams in a competition will get it done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We can't leak 27 points. That's the big thing. You can't leak 30. Like, if you want to be an inconsistent team, if you want to be the Titans last week or the Manly Seagulls last week of 30-30, if you want to be that team, you'll probably win 6-7 games this season like that, and the rest of them you'll probably get beat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we saw it tonight. Like, if you're gonna concede 27 points and try and chase that, you're not gonna happen. But if you're gonna score 24 and limit a team, like, you can win most games in a competition. That's my biggest look at it overall. Is the easiest way to look at it is defense is what we need to fix up on. I don't care about dropping players left, right, and center. I think we just need to get a defensive system set, because it showed it work last year. We can defend on our goal line. We can do that. We can do that, and that's the biggest thing. And also a little bit of positivity too. Obviously, with all the news of Jet Cleary signing and that, Fisher Harris signing. Our, junior system, we've got a grand final on, I think it's Saturday. Is it Saturday afternoon? We got the Harold Mats and that.
Yeah.
The club overall, take a step back. Let's not look at the first grade right now, 3 weeks and that. The club overall, what's your thoughts on the club overall currently right now? So defenses, like the junior systems, the signings, what's your thoughts?
Just honestly, bro, just awesome. Like, we're the flagship for what any NRL club should do in New Zealand. If you're going to get another one and put it in the South Island, you got to do it this way. You got to have your Harold Mats. You got to, like, it's just awesome. Like, I put a post up on the page to the boys making the final. I just said, it's so lucky that these boys, all 23 of them, or how many are in the squad, they would have had to go to Aussie to get a chance
100%.
to do what they're doing right now. Like, that's scary to think that we kind of, and it's kind of weird way, but it's like we saved 24 families potentially from letting go of their kids at a young age and living in Aussie with either an auntie or an uncle, or having to move the whole family over. and try and find their way through Australia, which is great but culturally it's different. Sometimes families get lost, and
Yep.
we've helped 24 families be able to help kids live their dreams in New Zealand. That's the bigger picture for me.
It's a positive.
Them playing well is a bonus, like doing what they're doing, but the fact that the club has been able to help produce New Zealand quality talent. And it's like, we don't get these kids going over at 14 or 13 and playing Origin. Now they're from in Mozzies, you got your Ben Teals and your fake Queenslanders. Just
like we're trying to do a Jet Cleary.
Yeah, you're trying to do a Jet Cleary. Trying to get in to play for the Kiwis. But yeah, you don't get much of that. Hopefully. But like if you're gonna do, if they're gonna be another NRL club, they have to have the system in place from the get go.
100%.
I can't believe we did this for almost 30 years, barring the under 20s, which we've talked about was awesome.
Yeah, which is awesome.
But that got taken away from us, and that obviously led to the downfall of many things. Yep. But to see what Robbo's done and put the systems in place, and and to get to a grand final in your first year, it tells you the coaching staff are doing good. Yep. Things are going well. I couldn't be happier, man. And just far out. And as a fan, just if you love following development pathways, man, you can watch a game every week or find out what's happening. You can find out who these talented guys are who are coming through. Like, it's so awesome, bro. Yeah.
And shout out to you, Joey, bro. Where to find this grand final of the Junior Warriors. So if you go to newsouthwalesrugbyleague.com, unfortunately, I have to pay a subscription to watch this game. I don't know if they run a free trial at the moment. Currently, before the season started, they were running a free trial. But go check it out if you're able to. I think it's $6 a month. You could probably do the free trial ones, buy it for the, not buy it, but purchase the free trial for a month. And then before the month, just get out of that one before, and just watch the grand final with the boys and that. But yeah, if you want to go watch it, New South Wales rugbyleague.com, or there's also an app, New South Wales Rugby League. So go look that up as well. But my overall thoughts on that, bro, is in general, the Warriors, if we take a step back from today, and there's a reason why I wanted to do it, so is there is a negative space when we look at the NRL team, and we'd want success so quickly, and that's really what's going on. We saw so much success in such a short period of time, so why shouldn't we expect us to continue to grow and become an amazing team right now? You know what I mean? But the way we win the competition, the way we end up getting a premiership, it takes long term. It's a long-term thing. When we get our development systems in place, we get all those juniors coming through, and we got some of the most talented juniors in New Zealand that will come through our club now that will want to be Warriors, right? After seeing last year's performance, you had the Zions of the world, you had the Labans of the world, Halasemas of the world all come out and say, I want to be a Warrior and we want to get this done for New Zealand. And that's a positive sign. We don't want to have, teams poaching our talent because there was no real pathway to being a Warrior. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now there is. This is what the best positive is we've seen Zion debut tonight, and that's why I asked you, what was your thoughts on Zion? The energy was incredible. He looked very positive in play. Laban, when he first debuted, very positive. You can see the potential in these boys. We'll see more of this now. You know what I mean? Like this is the long-term grow. And even though the season right now is going for a little bit of a lull, the good teams right now, they'll fix the wrongs. They'll grow into a season. Everything will come together. But it all comes off the back of now is where the overall club is sitting. And I think that's the best positive we can actually take out of all of this is, we've got an amazing junior base. We're making big signings coming into, years to come and all that. So we're very sturdy for the next, 5 to 10 onwards, right? If we get all this right. We don't want success right now and then nothing. That's not what we want. We want success now, next year, the year after. We want to be that side. So we have the potential to do that. Tonight, and the last weeks, whatever, for the NRL has been a hiccup. But overall, if we take a step back, I think it's been a very good success for the New Zealand Warriors with everything else we've been doing. And I think that's the best positive we can take out of these last couple of weeks. But yeah, bro, do you have anything more you really want to touch on?
I'm done, man.
It's tough.
I'll go watch a movie or something just to take my mind off of it. Probably look at some more tape tomorrow. And for me, watching, been watching a lot of Warriors tape for the last couple of years now. I don't get overhyped or I don't get too high or too low. Even when I thought we scored those 2 tries earlier, I was like, we'll wait and see. There's probably a little bit of a comeback, and it happened. But even losing for me, I don't buy into everything too much. I think you got to kind of not be optimistic nor be negative. You got to be in the realist space and think, okay, and kind of find the answers, because that's what the coach is doing, and I'm kind of on that vein. Like, I don't get
100%.
too high or too low, just sort of figure out. Yeah, that's really where I'm at right now.
Yeah, and I'm completely there with you, bro. Like, you know, the last kind of things to touch on in this one, guys, is just, you know, let's just not get too high, not get too low. Our job as fans, right? I understand there's bad performances out there, you know, is what it is, right? But our jobs as fans is just to stick around the club and to stay there, support the boys. That's what we do. Like, we love this club for a reason. I think we all need to look into that. And, you know, just get back on the back of the boys. They're going through some injury troubles. They've now lost 2 games that I'm sure that all the boys would be like, how did we do that, right? But they need to learn. They need to grow. And us as fans just need to sit back and just go, hey, we can trust in the boys. They can get this done. They can fix this up. They're first graders. This is what they do. So let's all back each other. Let's all have some fun. Wahsup TV. This is what we built. You know what I mean? This is.
And I'm loving the banter.
Analytics.
I'm loving the comments coming in. Guys having a little bit. Like, yeah, let's have a little bit of a laugh. You know, let's have a laugh. This can't be pure seriousness.
No.
But it's nice to see the Dragons lose 60 to 8.
Of course, that just happens, right?
I mean, like I said, the PEDs are a little bit off. The dosages were a little bit off for this week.
And that's what I love about. I cannot wait for the mean feed on Monday too, bro. I can't wait, because you guys are amazing on that. Your chemistry and all that, and you always give it a good time. But overall, guys, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed today. Hopefully you enjoy. We're going to be obviously doing a little bit more on wahsup TV in the future. Me and Levon are doing a lot of work in the groundwork, just like the Warriors are doing. We're trying to build into such a successful club. We're trying to build a successful channel with them too. So keep an eye out on the channel. There's a lot more to come. Levon are going to do a lot of groundwork this week, deep dive into what's really going on around the club. Obviously, we're trying to give you as much as we can after just seeing one look at the game, but a lot of the time when we do our best work is when we go away, sit with things, check what's going on, and really come back with you guys with a really nuanced and good arguments towards all your questions. So appreciate all you guys.
I love you guys. Pick up the chat, man. Love you guys.
Amazing, guys. You're all incredible. You all
bro.
turn up.
Everyone turns up, bro. Appreciate it. Massive.
Incredible, man. Incredible. But yeah, let's back the boys. It's always up the wires. Keep the faith, as we all know. More for the future. Let's go. On to the future. Let's go. Appreciate you guys.